Wan Jia celebrates victory, weapon raised, as a glowing blade stabs him from behind. Betrayed by his teammate, he wakes up on an airplane, ready to rewrite his fate. The King of Gamers event, hosted by the world's largest corporation, was the most monumental esports showdown in history. Neon lights reflect on towering skyscrapers, illuminating the futuristic city where the biggest gaming event ever took place, drawing eyes from across the globe. A sharp-suited businessman casually sits among stacks of gold bars and piles of cash, making it clear that whoever wins this competition inherits everything from G Mu Chin Incorporated, including his entire fortune. Because of such a tempting prize, the King of Gamers tournament pulled in millions of players, all eager for a shot at untold riches and power, leading to massive battles in virtual arenas across the world. Wan Jia, our protagonist, faces off against a huge, monstrous foe, his weapon aimed and ready for the final attack. Knowing this is the last monster in the dungeon before the prize is his, a system message then flashes across the screen, congratulating the players on completing the dungeon and letting them know they've all advanced to the final round. Just as he suspected, he throws a triumphant fist in the air, a wide grin on his face, internally declaring that they only have one last round left, brothers, and the victory is theirs. Suddenly, a glowing blade pierces his back from behind, the unexpected betrayal coming from his silver-haired teammate during their high-stakes duel. Real teamwork. He looks on in shocked disbelief as the silver-haired man stands over his fallen body, questioning why his comrade would do this, before he suddenly wakes up as a passenger on an aircraft, recognizing this place as the starting point of the Thousands battleground. The haunting phantom of his death fades, but the desperate reality of his return quickly takes hold. Wan Jia grips a random man's shoulders, his eyes wild with desperation as he demands to know the current date, needing to confirm if he's truly returned to the beginning, a second chance after years of living through the apocalypse. Still frantic, he shakes the man, urgency etched onto his face as he shouts for the information, the fear of being wrong, of this all being a cruel trick, burning in his chest. A blond man stares down, annoyance clear in his expression, but he gives the date, confirming our hero's wildest hopes and fears. It's truly July 1st, 20XX, the day everything changed. A shockwave of realization hits him, a glow surrounding his hand as the truth sinks in. He's back at the first round of the King of Gamers, the tournament that became a battleground for survival. A terrifying memory flashes, his unexpected betrayer's hand around his neck, the life draining from him, that pain and betrayal now fueling a fierce determination within him. His eyes glow red, jaw clenched tight, ensuring this time things will be different, as he won't let the past repeat itself, not with the knowledge he now carries. Suddenly, a large, muscular hand yanks him forward by his shirt, silencing his internal turmoil as a familiar face looms over him, anger radiating off the hulking figure. Wei Hu, an old comrade who tragically died in the previous timeline, screams in his face, threatening to beat him up for being too loud. Real dignified stuff. The Reborn player looks up, a surge of emotion washing over him as he recognizes the familiar face of his future ally, Wei Hu, before the world broke them. His future teammate looks utterly bewildered, wondering how this stranger knows his name, clearly having no memory of their shared future. Despite the threat, our guy grins broadly, extending a hand in greeting, a surreal moment meeting an old friend who doesn't yet know they're friends. His future ally shoves him away, clearly not amused by the familiarity, sending the younger man stumbling back, a stark contrast to the hero he became. The time traveler stands apart, touching his chin thoughtfully as he watches the angry man, knowing what's coming, and this man's fate. A chilling memory flashes. The gruff man surrounded by hordes of zombies, sacrificing himself so others could escape, a fate our hero wouldn't let happen again. A fierce determination settles on the time traveler's face. He will save his future teammate. He won't allow the same tragic end for his old friend. He gestures invitingly to the stoic man, offering a partnership, since only 10 players out of 1,000 can win this round, and he knows this man is one of the best. The dramatic close-up emphasizes the tension. Their eyes lock, a silent battle of wills playing out as he needs to convince the powerful fighter. His future teammate delivers a swift kick, sending the time traveler sprawling. Clearly, the burly man isn't interested in forming alliances, especially with strangers. The powerful fighter yells angrily, declaring he doesn't need teammates and refusing the offer, a hostile rejection exactly as our hero expected. The Reborn player looks surprised, though a knowing glint remains in his eyes, as he anticipated the refusal, but not the intensity of the big man's rejection. He grins confidently, walking away as his future teammate watches him suspiciously, confirming that the big man hasn't changed a bit. His legs carry him away, backpack slung over his shoulder, a new purpose driving his steps. He has a future to rewrite and a teammate to save. Equipped and determined, he strides into the glowing light, his profile sharp with focus as the battleground awaits, and this time he's ready to win on his own terms. Yet far from the path, the red bandana sniper watches him emerge into the blinding reach. A lone player caught out in the open becomes a perfect target for the red bandana sniper, who watches him through his scope from a hidden perch. The sniper carefully adjusts his aim, the crosshairs settling directly on the young player's chest, a silent promise of imminent doom hanging in the air. With a cold finality, the sniper pulls the trigger, sending a bullet flying toward his unsuspecting victim, a grim farewell echoing across the quiet landscape. Suddenly, a shot rings out, not from the sniper's rifle but at him, and he collapses, realizing with a jolt that he's been caught in his own trap. The purple-haired leader of a lurking squad steps forward, shouting at his men to stop standing around and to finish off the fallen sniper and loot his gear. Before they can move, a sudden roar fills the air as a jeep barrels towards them at breakneck speed, leaving the thugs frozen in shock. Inside the speeding vehicle, a heavy boot slams down on the gas pedal, pushing the jeep to an even more reckless velocity, its engine screaming in protest. Wan Jia, the man behind the wheel, grins, his red eyes burning with a wild intensity as he casually asks everyone to be gentle with him, a self-proclaimed beginner. The jeep smashes directly into the purple-haired thug, sending him flying through the air like a rag doll, his body flipping end over end in a chaotic ballet. The vehicle careens wildly, slamming into a stack of large wooden crates, which explode into splinters upon impact, creating a chaotic shower of debris. An aggressive gunman, standing over the wreckage, yells furiously for someone to die, his weapon already raised and glowing with dangerous energy. He unleashes a powerful, explosive projectile from his weapon, sending a blinding flash of light and a wave of destructive force toward the jeep's crash site. But the dust has yet to settle on aggressive gunman and his final, fatal mistake. The aggressive gunman stares in utter shock, his eyes wide, trying to figure out when the attack even started, everything happening so fast. Our hero, Wan Jia, isn't finished. He unleashes a flurry of kicks, striking the airborne enemy again and again with ruthless precision as a second target lies motionless below, adding more points to his score. He doesn't waste a second, swiftly moving to collect the spoils of his quick victory, gathering every item from the fallen, finding a high-powered sniper rifle among the loot. With the rifle gripped firmly in his hands, the Reborn player just grins, radiating confidence as he casually remarks that this entire round feels like nothing more than a warm-up, because he's seen far worse. An injured man, bleeding and desperate, then crawls toward him, begging for healing items and pleading for a chance to join forces, offering himself as a teammate. Wan Jia nods slowly, seemingly agreeing that he definitely needs a few strong teammates for the coming challenges, but his other hand subtly tightens around a hidden blade, hinting at his true intentions. The kneeling man's face contorts in sudden terror, his pleading turning to horror as he finally grasps the deadly implication, realizing he's not looking at a savior at all. Yet thousands of miles away, the reality of the situation is completely lost on him. This smug, fat gamer sits at his screen, munching chips and confidently declaring that the person on screen is no better than he is, and he could do just as well if he had the chance to play. Meanwhile, in a plush indoor living space, Lin Zun, a gorgeous blue-haired girl, lounges on a sofa, casually scrolling through her phone. But then she gets an important update. The new KOG competition rules state that players can only participate using their own identity, which just makes her listen intently as she takes it all in. Against a fiery backdrop, Luther, a professional player, stands in a powerful pose, looking ready for anything, gripping a heavy weapon as his muscles flex, an intimidating presence in the game world. Alexis, another squad leader, stares forward with a confident expression, a pistol casually held between his fingers, looking utterly composed as the competition heats up. Nohara Kenta, a professional player, grips his katana, surrounded by glowing purple energy, radiating intense focus and power in a combat stance. Wan Jia's profile card flashes across the screen, revealing him as the current points leader with a staggering 800 points, absolutely dominating the battlefield. On a public street, a group of men watch the competition results, wondering aloud if this mysterious player is a professional, since they've never heard of him before. Inside a cafe, two younger boys are equally shocked, asking how the unknown player managed to rack up so many points as a complete enigma, topping the ranks out of nowhere. In a gaming room, two other gamers joke about him being professional player Luther's alternate account, because it's the only way they can explain his sudden dominance. Our blue-haired gamer, however, doesn't find it funny. She stands aggressively before her screen, her eyes narrowed as she sees him enter what she considers her personal hunting grounds. Wan Jia moves through the rugged terrain, his weapon ready but his posture surprisingly awkward, making it seem like he's deliberately exposing himself, baiting someone to take the shot. The skilled female sniper smiles coldly, looking down her scope as she locks onto her target. He crouches awkwardly behind a concrete barrier, making it seem like he's a complete newbie who doesn't even know how to properly hide. It's a clumsy attempt at cover, almost too obvious. Her crosshair settles on the wall near him, underestimating her opponent entirely, thinking he's incompetent, an easy kill. With a confident grin, Lin Zun pulls the trigger of her sniper rifle, sure of her shot, certain that the supposed newbie is about to meet his end. The bullet impacts the rock wall with a loud pang, kicking up dust. A clean shot, but something feels off, unsettlingly so. A close-up reveals her shocked face, her eyes wide with sudden realization as her mistake dawns on her. The shot missed, and it couldn't have been by chance. A wide shot shows the empty impact site on the hill, revealing her target was nothing more than a decoy. It was a bait, and she fell for it completely. The bullet hole in the rock confirms the miss, solidifying the bitter truth. She was played. Her opponent is far more skilled than she gave him credit for. Standing by the window, Lin Zun realizes she got careless. She needs to relocate and reassess her strategy quickly. Just as she resolves to move, hands grip the ledge directly behind her, cutting off her escape route as a chilling presence has arrived. Wan Jia lunges from the darkness with a swift kick, catching her completely by surprise, giving her barely any time to react as her confident demeanor shatters. He swiftly gains the upper hand, grappling with her, his movements precise and overwhelming, rendering her weapon useless in this close-quarters combat. The intensity of the struggle fades into silence as Lin Zun finally drifts into darkness. Lin Zun's eyes flutter open, hazy and unfocused, as she slowly returns to consciousness. Looking down at her, a confident male recruiter smirks, announcing she's finally awake and seems to be enjoying her bizarre predicament. Lin Zun's eyes snap open fully, realizing she's hanging upside down, and her face twists in anger as she demands her captor let her down immediately. The smug recruiter just waves a hand dismissively, telling her not to worry, as in this world, hanging upside down won't give her a brain bleed. Still inverted, Lin Zun yells back that she admits defeat, but quickly adds his method of securing her is childish and beneath his supposed skill. He pauses, then muses aloud about how unfortunate it would be for someone as renowned as Lin Zun to perish here, a strange mix of admiration and taunting. She quickly corrects him, pointing out she left the CG squad a long time ago, with a hint of weariness in her upside-down face. The recruiter beams, placing a hand over his chest as if pledging allegiance, declaring himself her biggest fan. Lin Zun simply replies with a frustrated HMPH, clearly audible even from her inverted state, conveying her annoyance at his theatrics. He raises a single finger, offering a deal that would secure her freedom, his expression confident as he holds all the cards. A close-up shows Lin Zun's face as she asks, her voice wary about the nature of this mysterious deal, her blue eyes showing suspicion and a glimmer of hope. He stands tall, facing her hanging form, and confidently states his terms. She must join him and become his teammate. Lin Zun's eyes widen, filled with shock and disbelief at the mention of being a teammate, the word itself triggering a strong reaction. Her expression hardens, and she screams that she would rather die than ever team up again, the raw emotion revealing deep-seated trauma. A flashback overtakes her thoughts, showing past teammates making crude, sexist remarks about her body, clarifying her intense aversion to joining any team. He tries to reassure her, explaining he is different from those other players, claiming he's not like the rest. He gestures confidently, emphasizing his point with a proud stance, believing his strength sets him apart. He strikes a full pose, crossing his arms and puffing out his chest, his posture conveying his self-assuredness. From her upside-down vantage, Lin Zun shouts at him to stop pretending. His attempts to seem impressive are completely transparent to her. She continues her tirade, explaining he doesn't care if she's good at what she does, claiming he will only ever look at her in a particular way. The camera shifts to her chest, highlighting her point with the narration reading, "Look at weird places," confirming her accusations. A close-up shows the recruiter smiling creepily, a clear confirmation of Lin Zun's suspicions. He confirms her fears, commenting that she indeed looks marvelous from his current angle, his words designed to further her discomfort. With a burst of unexpected movement, Lin Zun lashes out, kicking upwards with all her might, a sudden act of defiance against his perversion. That desperate strike fails to shake him, and the tables turn in an instant. Lin Zun holds a blade to the young woman's throat, a chilling smirk on his face, making her blood run cold. She hangs upside down, completely disoriented and vulnerable, her panic visible as she begs him to reveal his intentions. He leans in close, his voice a low threat, informing her of the countless eyes watching their every move. Her profile contorts in horror as the realization dawns. Her predicament is a public broadcast, live for the world to see. With eyes glowing, he grins menacingly and proposes truly awful content for his audience, relishing their dark proposals. A flood of comments fills the screen, all demanding a special service, while she screams in protest, her voice desperate and unheard. Her eyes are wide and determined, fixed on a singular goal, as she demands an end to the broadcast. A group of onlookers cheers wildly around their screens, totally engrossed in the unfolding drama, fueling his twisted desires. The sharp glint of the knife reflects the ominous countdown as the man slowly ticks away the last seconds of his cruel ultimatum. With tears streaming down her face, the woman gives in, screaming out her promise to join him, defeat heavy in her voice. He watches, a calm smile on his face as the knife flies away, its danger now gone. He's won this round. Suddenly, she's lifted, mouth agape in a surprised gasp, still disoriented by the rapid turn of events. Hands touch clothing, indicating a sudden physical adjustment or action on his part, making her react instinctively. Lin Zun now cradles the blushing woman in his arms, while a stream of disappointed comments from viewers floats around them. A satisfied smirk plays on his lips at the bottom of the frame, showing his pleasure in the outcome, his plan unfolding perfectly. His voice is casual and almost polite, a stark contrast to her furious demand to be released, to be put down. She lands hard on her side with a comic ping sound effect, a clumsy but impactful fall. The woman quickly stands, dusting herself off, still yelling for him to put her down, her anger undiminished. He holds his rifle, offering tactical advice on her flexibility, his demeanor now strictly professional, as if nothing just happened. She grips her large sniper rifle, electric effects crackling around her as she readies herself for action, her stance firm. Her hands expertly work the sniper rifle, a crisp ka-cha sound marking the loading of the weapon. Lin Zun then heads toward the exit, issuing orders to collect resources before they leave, while the now combat-ready woman cautions him, suggesting he might be too trusting. Lin Zun underestimates the danger, failing to realize a lethal trap awaits Wan Jia right ahead. A blonde-haired woman with bright blue eyes holds her sniper rifle, the barrel aimed right at Wan Jia as he stands near some crates, the air crackling between them. Her eyes wide and almost innocent, she leans in to ask if he's afraid, promising she won't break her word and believes in him. But a strange glint suggests more than simple trust. A flashback flickers to before reincarnation, revealing a much weaker version of him, mocked by her as she stood over his defeated body, calling him weak. The blonde woman still looms over his fallen form, her rifle clutched in her hand as he glares back, covered in dirt and blood, his eyes burning with defiance. Bruised and battered, Wan Jia yells up at her, demanding that if she wants to kill him, she should just do it already, offering no resistance, only a challenge. Instead of killing him, she smiles a strange, almost predatory grin, extending a hand to ask if he wants to team up, offering to let him carry her ammo, a bizarre proposal. After that odd offer, his old tormentor adjusts her gear and clothing, her movements fluid and confident, ready for whatever comes next. Later, Wan Jia sits outside a door, hugging his knees, looking utterly defeated and alone, the weight of his past or future pressing down on him. She approaches him from behind, her silhouette long against the bright light, her presence a silent question about what he'll do with her thorny olive branch. His eyes, now sharp and intense, reflect a renewed determination as he murmurs, "Don't worry," a promise forming on his lips to uphold his end of their unexpected alliance. The female partner smiles, a gun held casually in her hand, seeming pleased, perhaps even amused by his earnestness, hinting at a genuine connection forming. She replies, promising that since she said she would team up, she won't break her word either, solidifying their mutual agreement built on a shared future despite their past. The female partner then laughs heartily, a bright sound that breaks the tension, her joy feeling genuine as pressure releases after their unusual negotiations. Wan Jia looks up, his red eyes fixed on something unseen, his expression a mix of relief and intense focus, the past behind him and the future full of possibilities. Indoors, surrounded by wooden crates, she watches him, calling him a weird man, admitting she can't guess what's going on in his mind, highlighting his enigmatic nature. He gestures to a holographic map, telling her there's more to him than she can guess, a subtle smirk playing on his lips, hinting at his hidden knowledge of the game world. The map displays a shrinking safe zone, and he explains the game's mechanics, revealing their specific location and that the safe zone will continue to shrink over time. His finger points directly at a spot on the map, confidently stating that the center of the next safe zone is right there. Uncanny precision only an insider would know. They both look at the large map, the female partner's expression one of disbelief, as she exclaims that safe zones are generated randomly, making his prediction impossible. Suddenly, a system alert banner flashes across the screen, confirming his words. A new safe zone has been generated. The timing is unnerving, almost as if he controls the game. The female partner shouts in shock, "How is that possible?" Her jaw drops in astonishment, realizing his prediction was accurate, a feat that defies normal gameplay. Wan Jia smirks, his eyes glowing red with confident gleam, declaring he remembered correctly and everything is going according to his plan, leaving her speechless. Her eyes wide with suspicion, she points a finger at him, accusing him directly. "How did you know? You cheated." The disbelief of any player in such a situation. He raises his hand in a casual gesture, denying her accusation of cheating, stating with cool confidence that he never cheats in a game. But the glowing knives visible around him hint at something far beyond normal skill. The tension lingers in the air as Wan Jia steps into the silent corridor. Wan Jia looks around the empty corridor, a skeptical frown on her face as she whispers about the quiet. She can't shake the feeling that something isn't right, the silence too heavy to be natural in such a place. Suddenly, a hand clamps over her mouth, startling her as she realizes Wei Hu has pulled her back into the shadows. From their hidden vantage point, she sees a five-man enemy squad swaggering into the open area outside. Wei Hu's eyes gleam with a mischievous glint as he whispers his plan. They'll test their teamwork on these newcomers. Wan Jia, however, is shocked and pulls away, questioning his sanity for suggesting they fight 5 people head-on. He simply smiles, assuring her that this skirmish is just a warm-up, a mere appetizer. His confidence is unsettling, especially given the odds they're facing. Meanwhile, one of the blonde enemies cautiously warns his captain about a possible ambush. He clearly senses the eerie quiet, but the captain just brushes off his concerns, eager to press forward. The enemy captain, a burly figure, barks orders for everyone to shut up and start searching for resources. He particularly wants to find guns, eager to get his hands on some serious firepower. He grips his own weapon, boasting loudly that no one would dare challenge a group of 5 like theirs. It's the kind of overconfidence that usually gets someone into trouble. Before he can finish his thought, a searing pink and purple energy blast erupts, striking him directly in the head. The force is immense, throwing him off balance as the attack catches him completely by surprise. The enemy captain collapses onto the grass, yelling desperately for his team to find cover as Wei Hu, our skilled marksman, smashes through the air, moving at an incredible speed. Debris scatters around him in a spectacular display of his lightning-fast attack. Wan Jia can only react in awe, her eyes wide with shock at the sheer speed of his assault. The blonde and blue-haired enemies cry out in fear, frantically asking who's there, their bravado shattered by the sudden, violent turn of events. But how long can Wan Jia and her attackers survive what Wei Hu has planned? The attack begins as Wei Hu lands gracefully, a mocking smirk playing on his lips, knowing his enemies were far too slow to catch him. And indeed the blue-haired man and 2 others open fire, bullets tearing up the ground where he just stood. Our formidable ally quickly takes cover, his expression confident as he speaks, pointing out that their reactions are so slow that he's already had time for tea. The blue-haired man yells in alarm, clutching his gun tight as he shouts about a second attacker. He tries to give orders, but panic has already started to set in. He slumps against a wall, his face etched with worry as he thinks about just running away from the fight. Nearby, his companion hides her face, fear overwhelming her. His eyes widen in shock as a bandaged hand suddenly clamps over his mouth, silencing his cries, and he tries to struggle, but the grip is too strong. A sharp glint reflects an ominous countdown as a blade, held by the same bandaged hand, presses menacingly close to his face. There's no escaping this, and his life flashes before his eyes. Wei Hu then looms over the now-restrained blue-haired man, his voice a low growl asking if he was going somewhere, and the man's struggle is desperate but futile. His eyes roll back, a silent scream of pain or silence as life drains from them. It's over in an instant, a swift, brutal end to the struggle. The blue-haired man lies face down on the grass, now deceased, his weapon lying discarded nearby, a stark testament to the abrupt silence that has fallen. The green-haired woman clutches her head in horror, unable to comprehend what just happened, whispering and asking how this could possibly be. She stares at the lifeless body, her mind reeling as she remarks on the unnerving silence of the kill, with no gunshots, no struggle, just sudden, absolute quiet. Wan Jia, our strategic protagonist, stands in a doorway, his eyes fixed on an enemy running away across the open field as he tracks their movements with keen observation. He then turns to Wei Hu, who is still inside the room, and asks why he isn't chasing the fleeing runner, wondering what his partner's plan is. Wan Jia peers intently through her scope, recognizing the target in her sights as electricity crackles around her, bracing her sniper rifle against her shoulder, and she gives a dismissive smile, crediting her partner for distracting the weak enemies, ensuring they won't escape her sight. But how much longer can Wan Jia keep up this lethal pace before her luck runs dry? Wan Jia looks down at his hand, counting the victims he just dispatched with his trusty blade, the familiar glint of the knife a comfort in this brutal world. His companion, Wei Hu, can't help but question why he relies so much on bladed weapons when he's clearly got other skills at his disposal, almost like it's a game or something. The veteran player patiently explains that bladed weapons actually give double points compared to guns in this unique system, making every kill count that much more for his score. Inside a swirling vortex of lightning, the skilled player stands confidently, revealing his deep knowledge of the game's hidden achievements and unique mechanics. A metallic treasure chest materializes on the grass, a reward for his mastery, while Wei Hu presses him for more information, her curiosity piqued by his unusual insights into the system. She leans in, her expression full of wonder, as she interrogates him about how he knows such obscure details of the game, things no one else seems to understand. With steady hands, our guy begins to pry open the glowing chest, its radiant light illuminating the anticipation in the air as they wait to see what's inside. Wan Jia stares in surprise at the item inside the treasure chest, a powerful relic that could change everything for him. A chibi version of Wei Hu bounces excitedly, asking what the mysterious item is, her eyes wide with eagerness to learn its secrets. Like a kid on Christmas morning, with a slight smile, the strategic player answers simply that it is a spear, a powerful weapon of legend. The chibi version of her, still full of guesses, suggests specific sniper rifles like an M24 or an AWM, unable to fathom what he's talking about. He holds up the short, staff-like object, firmly denying her guesses, his grip confident as he prepares to reveal its true nature, proving her wrong. Wei Hu dismisses the item as just a stick, prompting the skilled player to prepare a demonstration, leaving his companion utterly confused by her comment and what's about to happen. But does Wei Hu realize that Wan Jia holds far more than just a simple stick? Wan Jia effortlessly deflects incoming projectiles with his spear, moving with the practiced ease of someone who's done this 1,000 times. He grips the shaft of his spear, a simple weapon hiding deeper secrets. It's a piece of his future, a memory from a time that hasn't happened yet. A golden, glowing core appears at the spear's tip as he shows off its true power, boasting about its 9 unique configurations. He's got all the cool toys. The spear instantly transforms into a high-tech bow, glowing with golden energy, and then fires on its own as a swirl of flames and electricity forms around the arrow, launching it forward. He pulls back the string again, ready to loose another arrow, an aura of focused determination around him as the bow hums, almost alive in his grasp. A silent explosion rocks the landscape, shattering rocks and leaving only dust behind, proving his point that this new bow gives him a huge stealth advantage over noisy firearms. A pink-haired girl, clearly impressed, stares at him with wide, sparkling eyes, calling him cool, completely unaware of what he's capable of. Our hero just smiles, thinking about how easy it was for him to get this kind of reward, unlike everyone else who's still scrambling for scraps. The pink-haired girl pleads with him, pointing at the glowing weapon and wanting some of that power for herself, which he finds amusing. In a comically exaggerated moment, the girl shakes him violently, demanding to know how she can get a cool weapon too. He returns to his normal size with a knowing smile, telling her that rewards aren't handed out easily, because if they were, everyone would have them. Suddenly, a digital alert flashes across his vision. Red text detailing a new fox hunting event with him as the target and a 1,000-point bounty on his head. He stands there, calm and collected, fully understanding that his recent achievements have painted a giant target on his back, just as he expected. Wei Hu, grinning maniacally, schemes about getting rich by taking out the target, already seeing the bounty as good as his. Wan Jia stares ahead, lightning crackling behind him, knowing the risks that now come with his power. Wan Jia turns his back on the storm, settling into the quiet silence of the drive. Wei Hu leans back in the passenger seat, casually holding a handgun as she chats about point rewards, clearly focused on the game's currency. Wan Jia just smirks at her, turning slightly to ask if these points are her only motivation for sticking by his side through all this chaos. Suddenly, there at a secluded concrete bunker entrance nestled in a grassy field, his car parked nearby, and he explains this is the jar he mentioned. Our guy stands at the entrance, gazing at the structure, and reiterates his plan for this carefully crafted jar he set up especially for his future guests. Wei Hu looks up at him from the entrance, curiosity piqued, asking for clarification on his peculiar choice of words for this jar metaphor. He clarifies with a sly smile, revealing it's not a jar for trapping something, but rather an invitation into a jar, hinting at the dangerous game ahead. Meanwhile, a whole convoy of vehicles, filled with players eager to hunt him down, speeds across the field towards the bunker, their targets seemingly cornered. Bro Tiger, the leader of the hunting party, intently checks a glowing holographic scanner, his brow furrowed as data confirms the target hasn't moved from the bunker. As they approach, some members of the hunting party spot Wan Jia's car and express concern, wary of what tricks he might have hidden in plain sight. Bro Tiger, chest puffed out, yells motivational phrases, promising rewards to whoever takes him down and declaring he'll lead the charge, bravely offering to tank any traps. True to his word, the leader boldly walks into the bunker's dark, inviting tunnel, his voice echoing back to his comrades to cover his retreat. Inside the bunker's control room, surveillance footage clearly shows Bro Tiger and his group confidently stepping into the facility, totally unaware they're being watched. Our hero calmly eats noodles, watching the screens with an easy grin, greeting Bro Tiger aloud as if he's right there, saying he saved him the trouble of coming to find him. Wei Hu asks who this Tiger character is, but he simply tells her to hold her questions and just enjoy the show he's about to put on. She marvels, noting that only he could maintain such composure, completely collected, while the entire player base is hunting him down, a chilling confidence. Yet far from that peaceful table, a sudden shift in the atmosphere signals a violent turn. A chilling hush falls over the room as Wei Hu spins around, his eyes wide with horror, taking in their injured comrades strewn across the floor, all caught in this unexpected trap just as the mastermind had planned. He screams for everyone to run, but there's nowhere to go. The exit now sealed off as the suffocating gas swirls around them, slowly closing in. One of their number shouts in disbelief, wondering how a game's lethal mechanisms could be so real, and panic starts to set in for the trapped group. The pink-haired man, usually so cocky, is now frantic, pointing a trembling finger at the monitor as it flickers and glitches, showing something truly disturbing. A chilling white mask materializes on the screen, its vacant stare piercing through the digital noise, an unnerving welcome from Wan Jia, the person behind their predicament. Wei Hu, enraged and desperate, levels his weapon at the flickering image, demanding that their tormentor show himself, not about to go down without a fight. The masked figure leans closer, his calm voice cutting through the rising panic, as he announces his twisted intent, proposing a game with deadly stakes. Our guy stands his ground, weapon ready, as the rest of his team huddles behind him, bracing themselves, waiting for the rules of this grim contest. The masked man details the challenge. Poison gas will fill the room, slowly depleting their lives, but there's a catch, a small window of hope if they can hold on. Suddenly, a loud crack echoes through the chamber as a barrier shatters, signifying the beginning of their nightmare. The game has truly begun. Wei Hu, ever the leader, tries to project confidence, a shotgun slung casually over his shoulder, as he addresses his terrified comrades, assuring them he has a plan. He then reveals a large syringe and a medical pouch, explaining that their lives depend on using these supplies wisely. It's a risky gamble. He lays out a precise strategy. They'll split into two teams, one searching for an exit while the other uses recovery items, and they'll rotate, trying to buy themselves time. But the group just stands there, paralyzed by fear and indecision, unable to follow his orders, their faces betraying their growing despair. Our leader screams in frustration, demanding to know why they're hesitating, trying to inspire them, insisting he can get them all out, but their faith is crumbling fast. As the silence of the battlefield stretches, a young comrade breaks the tension with a desperate plea. A young comrade reaches out, desperation in his eyes, calling out for help as Tiger clenches his fist, red power surging around his arm. He screams in pure frustration, a deep growl escaping his throat as his strength flares around him, fueled by this calculated betrayal. Wei Hu, a cold strategist, calmly explains his plan, suggesting they abandon the weaker members to save themselves. A truly logical choice. The leader can only shout one word, "You," his face contorted in disbelief and rage at the sheer indignity. Wei Hu then gestures towards the others, his gaze sharp and pushing his twisted logic onto the group. The strategist's face twists into a malicious grin as he calls their supposed teammates nothing but expendable tools for victory. Then a punch flies, quick and devastating, connecting squarely with the purple-haired man's face and sending him sprawling. Our hero declares he would never betray his comrades for a cheap, temporary victory, running forward, unwilling to sacrifice anyone. But as he rushes, the cunning strategist mocks his naivety, confirming the ambush and giving the order for unseen forces to attack. Suddenly, multiple projectiles strike the leader, confirming the betrayal as Wei Hu reveals their alliance was never about friendship, only about harnessing his strength. This calculated act of cruelty marks the beginning of a far deadlier game for Wei Hu. Wei Hu stands tall as a kid bows low, then the masked figure on the screen declares, "You may leave now," calling the situation brilliant as he watches. He gazes down at two figures below, one resembling our strategist, and takes pride in his genius as he praises the execution of his intricate, unfolding plan. Then the masked figure delivers his final assessment, a calm, chilling judgment that seals their fate. He's truly impressed by their strategic abilities. Pink Mohawk, a ruthless enforcer, turns his back, ordering his squad to advance into the darkness, seemingly unconcerned by the lurking dangers. He leans in, his voice low and menacing, threatening that anyone who dares to help the trapped will die right alongside them. Meanwhile, Wei Hu clutches his chest, breathing heavily in a room now littered with discarded weapons, a testament to the chaotic fight that just ended. Alexis, a confident fighter, stands amidst a pile of dropped firearms, remarking on the unexpected turn of events and how their enemies actually fought each other. She looks genuinely surprised, her expression shifting as the full weight of the situation begins to sink in, making her question what just happened. Wan Jia then walks towards the trap location, his boots stepping onto a metal grate overhead as sounds of movement echo in the industrial interior, showing someone else is observing. Alexis looks up and asks the strategist where he is going, her voice betraying a hint of confusion as he approaches a dark, ominous doorway. He clenches his fist, a determined smile on his face, declaring his intent to retrieve the fruit of his labor, a reward he feels is rightfully his. A close-up shot shows a boot stepping into a golden, shimmering liquid, and a soft PA sound effect confirms its presence. Pink Mohawk shouts an urgent warning to his teammates, telling them to be careful and not trigger any traps as they navigate the treacherous path. Our strategist peeks over a ledge, waving casually down to the group below, greeting them with a friendly hi, as if this were a normal encounter, real subtle. He then leans confidently on the ledge, holding a skull mask, and welcomes his unsuspecting guests to his deadly playground. The group of 4 enemies, including Pink Mohawk, stand trapped in the mysterious liquid, ready to attack, but unaware of the true danger they are in. Wan Jia smiles smugly, warning them about the dangers of firing a gun in this environment, suggesting it would be incredibly reckless. An antagonist with spiky red hair crouches, noticing gasoline dripping from his hand and pooling on the floor, and a sudden fear of sparks flashes across his face. Pink Mohawk screams in fury and disbelief, realizing this is a new trap, and accuses the strategist of lying to them, his face contorted in rage. Our guy holds a burning bottle labeled Molotov cocktail, preparing to throw it, a sinister fire flickering in his eyes. He grins maniacally, delivering the chilling punchline about letting them leave, never having specified if it would be alive. Yet, how long can this twisted charade hold before Open Ying faces the truth about Wan Jia? Open Ying, one of KOG's creators, steps forward and explains the game's fairness, asking viewers to trust the system. Real dignified stuff, considering the system logs repeatedly show Wan Jia eliminating targets via burning while he stands in a glowing blue portal, earning him the barbecue master title and a treasure chest. He shakes his head with a small smile, commenting to himself that he somehow managed to get yet another special title, almost by accident. Through a cloud of smoke and debris, a desperate player crawls forward, yelling out that he's still alive. He clenches his fist in frustration, vowing to win this game even if it means betraying everyone around him. His hand rests on the dusty floor as a pair of boots steps into view, signaling someone is approaching him. Brother Tiger looks up with a pained expression, calling out the name Tiger in a desperate plea. Wei Hu stands menacingly over the injured player, looking down with an intimidating posture. The fallen player reaches up, desperately begging Wei Hu not to kill him, calling him brother. The larger man grabs his arm with a violent grip, making him scream out in agony. He lifts the player up slightly, coldly declaring that his game has now come to an end. Wei Hu holds a knife to the player's neck, his expression grim, as he sarcastically calls the victim his brother. A tattered red scarf flutters gently down to the ground, marked with splatters that look like blood. Back in the game's interior, Wan Jia smiles and waves, greeting his old tormentor and remarking that he knew they'd cross paths again. Wei Hu looks on with a serious expression, suddenly recognizing the person before him as Wan Jia. A hand reaches down, ready to engage, as our guy prepares to make his move. He launches into a powerful flying kick aimed at Wei Hu, shouting out a confident confirmation as he attacks. But as the dust settles, Wan Jia silences the chaos with a chilling truth. Wan Jia coolly reveals to Wei Hu that the poison gas was only a temporary measure, a minute at most, and the door itself was on a timer. It wasn't a death trap, just a delay. Wei Hu's face then collapses into laughter, realizing his own mistake in underestimating the game's mechanics. A truly humbling moment for a former legend. Our guy stands with his arms crossed, challenging the man's pride, refusing to simply let him surrender and die without a fight. A true warrior to the core. A muscular fighter in a tiger mask slams his fist into the ground, as text describes him as the legendary Ghost of the Raging Tiger, a name that strikes fear into the hearts of many. A young woman with pink hair excitedly tells him that the Ghost of the Raging Tiger once took down 7 top players all by himself before retiring, a feat almost unbelievable, really. He extends his hand, offering a chance to fight with melee weapons. If the other man wins, he'll become his teammate. Wei Hu smiles, a knowing glint in his eyes, as he figures out that the man he's facing deliberately fell from a balcony to match their health. A crafty move. The pink-haired girl covers her mouth, warning Wan Jia that he might not win against the real ghost, a legend for a reason. He lunges forward, his staff glowing with energy, declaring his philosophy on ambition and youthful confidence, ready to prove his point right here. The dust settles as days drift by, until Wan Jia finally faces the Ghost of the Raging Tiger. A young man with silver hair and sharp eyes, Wan Jia, casually leans back in his gaming chair, a confident smirk playing on his face as he hears about his opponent, the famous Ghost of the Raging Tiger. He dismisses the entire situation with a relaxed shrug, seemingly unimpressed by the legendary player's reputation, almost like he knows a secret weapon no one else does. In another booth, the legendary Wei Hu, his avatar's armor gleaming, prepares for battle, his fingers flying across the keyboard with blistering speed. Our guy then unleashes his avatar, a fierce warrior, onto the digital battlefield with a defiant shout, ready to take on the newcomer even as the countdown timer ominously shows just 19 seconds remaining. Back in his player booth, Wan Jia leaps from his chair, a look of pure shock on his face as he yells out in surprise, completely bewildered by the incredibly short match duration. Moments later, in the virtual arena, the legendary player's defeated avatar is pinned against a wall, acknowledging his loss in a stark speech bubble. Below, a loud announcer, dressed in a sharp suit and sunglasses, shouts into his microphone, declaring a new champion and emphasizing the unbelievable 19-second victory. The crowd goes wild, chanting "Ghost of the Raging Tiger," as a hand points directly at Wei Hu in celebration, cementing his legacy in a new, unexpected way. Confetti rains down as the new champion raises his arms in a triumphant pose, basking in the glory of his lightning-fast victory. Later, in a quiet, reflective space, he clenches his fist, his expression thoughtful, wondering if he can reclaim all the past honor and victories stolen from him. A fierce voice screams a warning to stay focused, as the scene shifts abruptly to a chaotic, real-world combat zone, with much higher stakes than any digital arena. His old rival, his eyes intensely focused, grips his firearm, ready to unleash a shot, his skill undeniable even in this grueling physical fight. Wan Jia smiles, acknowledging his rival's enduring power as their weapons clash with explosive force, almost pleased by the challenge. Noting his opponent hasn't lost a step, their combined might creates a massive shockwave as their weapons meet, sending ripples across the ground, confirming this physical battle is far more intense than any game. Yet the dust barely settles before a much deadlier threat emerges from the chaos. Wei Hu charges, his blade shimmering with lethal energy, ready to strike a decisive blow against Wan Jia's head. The sheer power of the move looks impossible to escape. Meanwhile, on the arena sidelines, Lin Zun watches the devastating attack unfold, her eyes wide with fear and disbelief, whispering if the target is already dead. Against all odds, the attack scrapes past Wan Jia as he narrowly dodges the tiger slash, his body sliding along the arena wall, taking only a glancing blow, proof of his incredible agility. Wei Hu, still confident in his overwhelming strength, grips his weapon tightly and mocks the other fighter's survival, completely oblivious to what's coming next. Wan Jia, despite being injured, grins broadly, a flash of determination in his eyes as he declares his intent to turn the tables, knowing something his opponent doesn't. His weapon, a golden spear, suddenly morphs and reshapes itself into a glowing blue bow, shimmering with ethereal energy as he activates his nine-tails bow. The barbarian stares in pure disbelief as the spear transforms, his confident smirk quickly replaced by shock and confusion, realizing the threat he's facing. Our guy wastes no time, aiming the newly formed golden bow directly at his target from mere inches away and firing an arrow, making it impossible for the other fighter to dodge. The arrow grazes Wei Hu, a clear sign that Wan Jia could have landed a lethal blow but chose not to, demonstrating his control before extending a hand, offering a handshake instead of a finishing strike. In a surprising turn, the two former adversaries shake hands, their faces breaking into wide grins as they become friends, exchanging playful titles like Big Bro and Little Wan. As the two men celebrate their newfound camaraderie, the confident sniper Lin Zun stands nearby, watching them while they playfully ask about her identity, unaware of her presence until now. Lin Zun remains silent, but will her sudden arrival change the chaotic events about to unfold? Wan Jia looks intently at a fierce female player, wondering if she's the skilled one he's heard about, the one who might soon join his side. Before he can dwell on it, armed figures burst into the bunker, shouting that they've found their target. In response, Wei Hu, the team's blonde leader, throws his hands up and sprints away, yelling about his new contingency plan to retreat immediately. His sudden dash leaves everyone else startled, but they quickly follow his lead, a truly masterful tactical decision. The team scrambles through a narrow tunnel, their escape route illuminated by the glow of distant explosions and the sound of gunfire closing in fast. Our protagonist turns back, shouting orders, trying to coordinate their desperate flight. Meanwhile, the blonde boss sits atop a grassy hill, gazing out at the unfolding chaos with a satisfied smile, commenting on how interesting the current situation has become. He knows the fox is in the thick of it, and he finds that quite entertaining. The amusement fades as the blonde leader suddenly catches a shift in the evening air. The blonde leader of the enemies, rifle clutched tight, looks around, wondering where his targets vanish to in the sudden gloom, his masked companion searching with him, both clearly unsettled. Then a fluorescent light flickers and buzzes once more, giving up the ghost with a soft click and plunging the room into even deeper shadows as the last illumination dies. Wan Jia, the master strategist, observes the panel in the dark, a knowing glint in his eye as he declares it's finally time for them to go on the offensive. The muscular man of the team raises an eyebrow, suggesting they use the darkness to their advantage, but the woman with fiery orange hair shoots him down, pointing out a critical flaw in his thinking. Her words echo the challenge as a digital overlay confirms their mutual blindness. She questions how they can't see them, making it clear that a dark environment cuts both ways. He confidently states that he can see just fine, only to receive a stinging slap across the face from his furious teammate, her hand leaving a bright red mark. The orange-haired woman scolds him sharply for holding out on them, demanding to know why he hadn't brought out his night vision goggles much sooner. His teammates look on in disbelief, shocked by his possession of such rare gear, either amazed by his luck or growing suspicious of his seemingly endless tricks. He just shrugs it off, playing it cool. A shadowy figure suggests a direct charge, but the young man dismisses the idea immediately, his tone laced with disdain for such an unrefined approach. A chilling smirk spreads across his face, illuminated by the faint glow of his gear as he announces his intention. Assassination time. He scales the wall with surprising agility, clinging to the shadows above, and observes his unsuspecting targets below like a predator eyeing its prey. Down below, the blonde man tries to flirt with a girl in a dark sailor uniform, asking for her contact information, completely unaware that his smooth talk is falling on empty air as she vanishes without a trace. The blonde man looks around, utterly confused by her sudden disappearance, while the smirking young man in the foreground watches from his perch, enjoying the show. Smooth operator. The girl in the dark sailor uniform now lies lifeless on the floor, an ethereal arrow of light piercing her head, suggesting a quick and magical end. The blonde man stands over her still form, absolutely enraged that she died before he could get her number. But that frustration fades instantly, as Wan Jia turns his attention toward the next immediate threat. Wan Jia stands over his latest eliminated target, pink energy effects bursting around the fallen foe as the UI confirms another kill, and he calmly takes stock of the situation, observing the discarded handguns from the defeated enemies and noting their limited arsenal. He grabs a new weapon, ready for more action, figuring it's finally his turn to shine. A blonde soldier darts around a corner, yelling a warning to his team about the incoming threat, his voice echoing through the confined space. But it might be too late to make a difference now. Wan Jia drops to prone position, his mind already racing, calculating the enemy's next move, knowing they'll be startled, but a smart enemy adapts fast, and he's ready for anything. The blonde soldier huddles with a dark-haired soldier, whispering frantically about retreating quietly, deciding running away from this fight is their best bet, a move that feels more like desperation than strategy. Heavy footsteps echo in the narrow hallway, growing closer to the dark-haired soldier's hiding spot. The sound alone could give anyone chills. Wan Jia suddenly appears, towering over the petrified dark-haired soldier, casually holding his handgun, and he asks if they were looking for him, a chilling question delivered with calm confidence. The dark-haired soldier screams in terror, his alarm piercing the silence as the blonde soldier watches in shock, with panic spreading like wildfire, throwing their retreat plan into disarray. The blonde one, now completely unhinged, bolts away frantically, leaving his teammate behind, because it's every man for himself in this digital war zone. Now the blonde soldier sobs openly, despair etched across his face, while the dark-haired soldier grimaces in sheer pain and terror. Their options are running out and fear takes over. Our guy holds them both in a tight grip, aiming his gun with steady hands, so there's no escaping his reach now. A purple flash erupts, marking the decisive shot that eliminates the remaining targets, and the silence that follows is deafening. Wan Jia stands calmly amidst the lingering smoke, a lone figure of victory. Another obstacle cleared, another step towards his goal. He muses on the game's mechanics, realizing that using melee weapons yields even more points, always looking for an edge, and our hero quickly adapts his strategy. Suddenly, a knife attacker lunges, raising his blade triumphantly as he aims for an easy kill, thinking he's got it all figured out. Wan Jia simply looks up at his assailant, a calm, almost surprised "oh" escaping his lips, seemingly unfazed by the sudden threat and ready to counter the attack. This curiosity vanishes as Wei Hu steps from the shadows to raise the stakes higher. Wei Hu, a seasoned player, holds up a glowing blue rod against a dark window, questioning its usefulness in a fight, as he asks the team about their gear, always looking for an edge in this brutal game. He wonders aloud if such luminous items truly exist in this harsh reality, thinking about what practical advantage a simple glow stick could offer against armed opponents. Suddenly, the team reveals a surprising array of lighting equipment, illuminating the darkened space, and then they all charge forward, ready to attack, apparently thinking illumination is the best tactic. The pink-haired girl holds her rifle casually on her shoulder, muttering about her teammates being idiots as they rush into the fray, already frustrated by their lack of coordinated strategy. The blonde leader screams in utter frustration, his voice cracking amidst the gunfire, completely overwhelmed by the chaotic performance of his squad. He He yells in pure shock, surrounded by a hail of bullets, the fight erupting around him in a cacophony of gunfire and explosions. An ally collapses, hit by a volley of bright orange energy beams, crying out in confusion and pain that they are supposed to be on the same side, a clear sign of their disorganized attack. Back in a covered area, away from immediate danger, both men sit slumped and exhausted, surrounded by bullet marks, the sounds of battle still echoing around them. Wan Jia, our protagonist, turns to Wei Hu, his rival and brother Tiger, asking if he wants to continue their competition after their previous fight ended in a draw, his eyes glinting with a challenge. They both raise their weapons, Wan Jia with his staff and brother Tiger with his large blade, silently agreeing to a kill count contest, a surprisingly casual way to settle their scores. In what appears to be temporary resting quarters, a dark-haired person sleeps face down, utterly spent from the recent battles. The ceiling lights above them glow brightly, stark against the otherwise dim surroundings, offering a moment of quiet respite after the chaos. Overlooking the arena, Wei Hu cleans his massive blade, looking at our hero and asking who managed to kill the most enemies in their competition. The gamer smiles smugly, holding a small grenade, and nonchalantly says he didn't even bother counting, enjoying his rival's visible frustration. A wide shot reveals the arena floor, now littered with defeated opponents, a testament to their recent rampage, though exactly how many is still up for debate. Our hero, drawn in a cute chibi style, thinks proudly to himself about how smart he is, despite the dwindling number of remaining players, clearly pleased with his own cunning. The pink-haired girl sips from a can, dryly commenting that his methods are despicable, not smart, seeing right through his self-congratulatory attitude. He insists, with a pointing finger and a confident smirk, that his actions are simply tactics, not unfair play, fully embracing his strategic approach. Wei Hu chimes in, suggesting that if they can maintain a strong defense and then transition to offense, winning should be much easier, always thinking about their next move. He holds a device, discussing the rapidly shrinking safe zone with the protagonist, highlighting the urgent need for new plans. The protagonist points to a holographic map, showing the current status of the zone and how quickly it's closing in, demonstrating his keen awareness of the game's mechanics. The pink-haired girl stands confidently, asserting that they've eliminated enough threats to hold their position for a long time. But our hero reveals the real danger is the radiation, adding another layer of complexity to their survival. This grim realization leaves little time for reflection before the blonde leader grabs Wei Hu's hand. Wei Hu grabs the girl's hand, shouting, "Wait," as she looks back, surprised. He asks about the difference between radiation and poison gas, real dignified stuff. The info boxes flash grim details. This isn't just a debuff, it permanently eats away at your maximum health and sparks terrifying mutations in its victims. Her pink hair almost vibrating with panic, she screams that they need to get out of the radioactive zone right now, her voice cracking with pure terror, not thinking strategically, but just reacting to the immediate danger. She insists they can't just sit there and accept their fate, her eyes wide with desperation, as if waiting means certain death, her usual cool demeanor completely shattered under the pressure. But Wan Jia flashes a wide, confident grin, giving her a reassuring thumbs up and declaring that he already has a plan to deal with this. His calm presents a stark contrast to her fear because he always knows something no one else does. Meanwhile, outside the bunker, the night sky looms over the forest clearing as a blonde leader commands his troops to hold their positions, waiting for their prey to emerge, the silence heavy with anticipation. One of his subordinates, a nervous guy with short silver hair, cautiously asks their boss if they should really continue waiting there, especially with the area quickly becoming dangerous, because he's clearly worried about the rising threat. The blonde leader, an authoritative presence, simply states that the fox will definitely come out of hiding eventually, and that taking risks is an essential part of earning a reward, playing a long game, it seems. Then, a red alert flashes on the screen, showing the safe zone rapidly shrinking, adding another layer of urgency to the tense standoff, as time is running out for everyone caught in the game. The blonde commander orders a bald subordinate to drink a health potion, a glowing beverage meant to restore his depleted health, wanting everyone at peak condition for the coming confrontation. The bald man gulps down the drink, but to his horror, he realizes his health is still plummeting despite the supposed antidote. He just gulped down poison. The blonde commander watches, a dawning realization spreading across his face, as he understands this isn't just normal poison gas, but a special kind of radiation that their remedies can't fix, changing everything. The poisoned subordinate, his face twisted in desperation, shouts that he joined this fight to win, not to die here, before he breaks ranks and makes a mad dash for the safe zone alone. Loyalty has its limits when facing certain death. The betrayal cuts deep, but the true threat waiting for Wan Jia is far worse. Wan Jia stands firm, his subordinate thinking about the sheer ruthlessness he holds. This guy means business, and it shows in his every silent command. Wei Hu turns to his team, a grim invitation in his voice. They can leave if they can't handle what's coming next, because he isn't here to babysit. Horrifying moans fill the night as zombies claw their way up the steep embankment, their numbers growing by the second, and the blue-haired subordinate can only watch. Our leader explains the grim truth. The game mechanics are warped because radiation has reanimated the fallen players, a cruel twist on familiar rules. The blue-haired man pleads with Wei Hu to retreat. The sheer size of the advancing horde is too much for anyone to face head-on, so this isn't a fight they can win by staying. Our boss flatly refuses, explaining that the target's location is confirmed, and they must finish the job no matter the cost, or all their efforts would be wasted. He raises his handgun, commanding his squad to lay down some suppressing fire, and assuring them there's no reason to be afraid. More than enough ammo should handle these creatures right. The blue-haired team member and others open fire into the hazy green mist, yelling to engage the enemy despite the horrifying numbers in a desperate fight against an unending tide. A bald subordinate watches in despair as his bullets seem to do nothing, realizing their attacks are ineffective. These guys have too much health. Suddenly, a zombie leaps onto a screaming man, tearing into his brain with horrifying speed, and the blue-haired subordinate falls victim in a grotesque display. Moments later, the blue-haired man's corpse begins to stir, reanimating on the ground as his own teammates watch in shock, and the horror deepens with every fallen comrade. Wei Hu and his remaining team members realize the crushing hopelessness. The more they fight, the more the horde grows, and there's no end in sight to this terror. Yet as the chaos reaches a fever pitch, Wei Hu makes a desperate break for freedom. Wei Hu waves goodbye to his friends, their promises of reunion strong as the red convertible speeds away, past confused enemy soldiers screaming about zombies driving. The blonde boss stares wide-eyed, the audacious deception hitting him hard as he watches the car escape into the distance. Inside, Wei Hu pulls a lever, engaging the engine further, making their getaway swift and decisive. The blonde boss, furious, shouts against a blur of speed lines, his face contorted in desperate anger. The red convertible vanishes, leaving the enemy stunned and confused in its dust. Their leader, the blonde boss, barks commands, telling everyone to stop fighting and chase the escaping car instead. A wounded masked grunt on the ground reaches out a desperate hand, pleading with his boss to save him. The boss doesn't hesitate, aiming his handgun and firing a single shot that echoes through the night. The grunt collapses dead, as the boss coldly dismisses him as garbage, showing his ruthless nature. Wei Hu accelerates hard, sending the red car rocketing down the moonlit road, leaving a trail of smoke. Wan Jia covers her nose in disgust, clearly bothered by the stench of their zombie camouflage. Wei Hu explains that they had no choice but to disguise themselves, otherwise they would have become targets for actual zombies. Very practical, really. Their muscular companion spots something in the rearview mirror, signaling that the enemies are still hot on their tail. Wei Hu grins confidently, boasting that he's about to show them the real power of the driving god of Mount Q Min. Meanwhile, inside the enemy vehicle, a white-haired subordinate warns his boss that the stolen car is simply too fast to catch. The boss, looking at a map on his screen, smirks, claiming the river ahead will be an impassable obstacle for the fleeing group. An overhead view shows the yellow chase car relentlessly pursuing the red hero car, both hurtling down the road. The hero car skids wildly near the river's edge, sending their muscular companion screaming in terror. But Wan Jia braces herself, ready for whatever stunt Wei Hu has planned. The tires stop spinning, leaving nothing but dust and the quiet of an empty road. The road ahead stretches out, marked by deep tire tracks where someone just sped through here incredibly fast. And now Wan Jia grips the steering wheel, his hand bandaged from earlier events. His red car slides, tires screeching, as he perfectly executes a drift. And inside, Wei Hu and the others are jostled around, barely holding on as the world blurs past them in a dizzying display of automotive mastery. Our driver ends up squished against Wei Hu's chest in the sudden lurch, A moment of awkward physical contact that makes him wonder if her chest is some kind of safety airbag, which is not exactly the most dignified position for a professional gamer. Wei Hu, blushing furiously, shoves him away and yells for him to shut up, guarding her chest with a fierce glare. But there's no time for embarrassment, though, as the chase is far from over. Behind them, the pursuing thugs on motorbikes hit something unseen, or perhaps just his clever driving, and are launched into the air as their bikes flip and slide, sending riders tumbling in a spectacular pileup. He glances back, a smirk spreading across his face, and waves dismissively at the airborne idiots, taunting them to eat my emissions, as he leaves them literally in his dust. But the leader of the pursuing group, Chen Yijing, barks orders that their target must not escape, no matter the cost, even as his white-haired enforcer cautiously suggests that continuing this chase isn't worth the heavy losses they've already sustained. The enforcer quickly asserts that while he might give up on rewards, the target absolutely must die, emphasizing the mission's importance. And another bald thug raises a pistol into the air, declaring that whoever kills their quarry will claim the entire reward for themselves, igniting a dangerous free-for-all. Wei Hu quickly warns her companions that their boss doesn't care about friendly fire, making everyone a potential target in this desperate hunt for the prize. The situation has just escalated from a chase to a full-blown deathmatch. Our hero just smiles confidently, a glint in his eye, stating that he'll show them exactly how strong a professional player truly is, because he's not just driving away anymore. He's preparing for a counterattack. As his car speeds past, Chen Yijing, now holding a sniper rifle, takes aim and fires, the bullet leaving a trail of smoke, making it clear they're no longer just pursuing. They're actively trying to eliminate him. A close-up shows a spinning tire, indicating either a loss of traction or a direct hit from the sniper shot, sending the car into a dangerous wobble. And Wei Hu clutches her chest in fear, asking what exactly is happening as the vehicle careens precariously. Wei Hu braces for the inevitable impact as the chaos spills into the surrounding streets. The desert wind howls as a man grips his tie, the ground rocking violently from an explosion nearby, and his eyes widen in sudden alarm. A masked rider speeds ahead, clutching his prize tight as he warns others to stay back, claiming it all for himself. He mutters about the gear he'll get, hoping it will finally free him from being just an underling and letting him call the shots. But his confident monologue breaks as he pulls up to the deserted car, confusion clouding his masked face when he sees the empty interior. Then, silhouetted against the vast, starry sky, he spots something above, and a sudden realization washes over him. A large rifle muzzle points directly forward, glinting under the pale moonlight, an ominous sign that he's now the prey. Wan Jia, clad in combat gear, kneels calmly, her eyes fixed on the incoming enemy through the scope of her sniper rifle, completely composed. A small smirk plays on her lips as she whispers a quick "see ya" before pulling the trigger, her aim perfect. The biker leader is hit square by a blast of pink energy, sending him flying backward through the air in a dramatic, unexpected trajectory. He tumbles helplessly through the darkened sky, a mere puppet caught in an unseen force, his descent now unstoppable. Meanwhile, a gloved hand grips a vertical pole as blinding headlights rush forward from the foreground, signaling Wei Hu's grand entrance. Wei Hu stares intensely at the camera, a confident grin spreading across his face as he declares it's time to show everyone what real skill looks like. He leaps horizontally through the air, his weapon clutched tightly in his hand, a human projectile soaring over the motorcycle. He lands perfectly on the moving bike, effortlessly clearing the obstacle with a dynamic aerial maneuver, weapon held out, challenging any foe daring enough to face him. The blonde leader curses as his target moves too fast, too unpredictably, like a ghost on the wind. They can't even keep up with the car in front of them, let alone corner him. He quickly snaps out of his frustration and bellows a command to end the chase, then begins firing his pistol directly at the fast-moving vehicle. Wan Jia, however, is prepared, gripping his golden spear firmly in both hands, a determined expression on his face as he braces for the coming fight with the enemies behind him. With a powerful thrust, he sends shockwaves through the air, knocking several attackers off their bikes and into the dirt, their plans of ambush shattered. Real dignified stuff. The system confirms his success, notifying him of the eliminated bikers, but the man riding shotgun in the car is furious, yelling to kill the target and not to let anyone else claim the bounty. With a confident smirk, the young veteran points his golden spear forward, a clear challenge in his eyes as more enemies fall around him, unable to withstand his offense. The remaining enemies scream a rallying cry of together, charging at him, a desperate attempt to overwhelm the lone warrior. Our blonde leader, observing from his position by the car, suddenly realizes the dire situation. This environment, with its tight spaces and obstacles, plays right into the warrior's brutal fighting style, making it a perfectly laid trap. Meanwhile, the pink-haired driver urgently warns his boss that they are rapidly approaching the border of the safe zone, their time running out. The blonde leader quickly gulps down several pills from a bottle, hoping they will shield him from the impending radiation and any ill effects from the chase. The pink-haired driver tentatively asks if he could also have some of the medicine, but the blonde leader quickly shouts him down, his face a mask of irritation. Such generosity. The order is given to ram the target at full speed, and the man with the pistol opens fire wildly while readying himself to accelerate the vehicle. A close-up reveals the man with the yellow mask, his face bloody and eyes closed, slumped motionless in his seat. The attacker driving screams in utter disbelief as their car violently crumples against an unseen force, an impossible wall of resistance appearing from nowhere. The vehicle bursts into flames upon impact, sparks flying as it is crushed against what seems to be a giant, scaly surface, leaving destruction in its wake. The smoke clears to reveal the carnage left behind by that brutal collision. Wei Hu curses under his breath, watching Wan Jia smash another foe into the dirt, griping that his own weapon has too little reach for this kind of close-quarters mayhem. Our hero just smashes a foe into the ground with a powerful ping sound, creating a small crater where the enemy lands. There's no time for subtlety when lives are on the line. Then he's on his motorcycle, speeding away from the wreckage, the engine roaring with a loud vroom as he outpaces the chaos he just created. He drives across a barren landscape, leaving the mangled bodies and broken vehicles far behind him, a swath of destruction marking his path. This kind of cleanup is for other people after all, he thinks to himself, finally, as the immediate danger fades into the dust of the desert, but he knows there's always another challenge lurking just beyond the horizon. Ahead, a car sits idle on a deserted road, its headlights cutting through the night as a blonde rival stands menacingly beside it, ending the brief calm. Wan Jia faces off against this new opponent, a grin playing on his lips as the blonde-haired man snarls back with fierce intensity. The rival grips a rifle tightly, his knuckles white as he prepares to unleash a barrage of bullets, ready to make good on his threats. The blonde-haired foe screams, demanding how he could possibly lose to such an unattractive bastard, as he wildly fires his rifle, bullets sparking around our hero. He deflects the incoming fire with his shield, muzzle flashes illuminating his determined face as the rival shouts, "Die!" Wan Jia grimaces slightly, a health bar briefly visible as a shot connects somewhere on his body, a minor wound amidst the flurry of bullets. But his eyes glow red, a predatory smile spreading across his face as he confirms the distance is just right for his next move. An extreme close-up shows his hand gripping the weapon, every muscle tense and ready for the impending strike. This is the moment he's been waiting for. The motorcycle skims the pavement at high speed, sparks flying from the ground as he executes a precise maneuver, using the vehicle as both a shield and a launching platform. Then with a powerful thrust, he launches himself airborne, using his spear to propel his body forward with incredible force, leaving the motorcycle behind and screaming, "Geo!" His motorcycle continues forward, riderless, a blur of motion as he leaves it to fulfill his daring aerial assault, now just a distraction as he closes in for the kill. But before the dust even settles, a new chaos begins to unfold. The blonde man gazes up, confused and annoyed by what seems like a complete lack of form from his opponent. The dark-haired antagonist, however, just smiles with satisfaction, admitting his aim was just a little off on the last strike. Nearby, Fan Jiahong lies on the ground, eyes closed, appearing completely knocked out of the fight. The blonde man urgently shouts for Fan Jiahong to pass him the rifle, desperately needing backup in his struggle. Our downed comrade slowly reaches out a hand towards the sniper rifle lying on the dusty ground nearby. Meanwhile, the blonde-haired man's hope turns to shock as Fan Jiahong appears on a scooter with the orange-haired woman, who casually shouts to leave ahead for her. The red-eyed antagonist's hands begin to glow with a strange, high-tech power, preparing to unleash another devastating attack. The blonde man screams in frustration, asking what they are waiting for, unaware of the betrayal about to unfold. In response, our erstwhile ally yells at him to shut up, a chilling command that confirms the blonde leader's worst fears. Disbelief washes over the blonde leader's face as he realizes his supposed ally is now targeting him. Real dignified stuff. Bright pink energy projectiles erupt from Fan Zhaihong's direction, striking the blonde leader in a devastating betrayal. The blonde leader stumbles backward, completely overwhelmed, managing only a pained whisper of "traitor" as he falls. He lies defeated on the ground, wounded and broken, the betrayal stinging more than the physical impact. The orange-haired woman then casually asks our new traitor if she had misunderstood, implying a double cross of their own, while the red-eyed antagonist warmly welcomes the traitor into his ranks. The welcoming smile fades quickly, as Fan Zhaihong realizes the harsh reality awaiting him. He needs to know what right he has to join this new team, and what makes him special, because his teammates are tough as nails. Wan Jia looks up, eyes bright, stating simply that he is smart and knows who is stronger, a true tactician in a world full of fighters. Our hero, however, is now lying on the ground, seemingly knocked out after a brief test of strength with the group. The red-eyed leader, sizing him up, decides that this new guy is quite to his taste, a surprising twist after the brief skirmish. His stern, white-haired, muscular teammate, looking doubtful, asks if he really wants this flip-flopper on their team, despite the leader's grand plans. The leader, with a reassuring hand on his stern friend's shoulder, states he knows where the boundaries are, implying he has a handle on the new recruit. His expression darkens as he vows that Fan Zhaihong, his former ally, will pay slowly for his betrayal. Suddenly, the game's status flashes into view, confirming that 284 players remain in this brutal game of survival, a testament to how far they still have to go. Later, in a forest campsite, small animals are roasting over a crackling fire, their savory scent filling the air. The 4 members of the team sit around the fire in an awkward silence, the flames casting long shadows on their faces, the only sound the crackling of wood. The red-eyed leader grins, happy to finally cook real food instead of relying on bland canned items to replenish their hunger meters. The stern, white-haired, muscular teammate takes a bite, eyes widening in pleasant surprise at the delicious taste of the roasted meat. The woman beside him, her face alight with pleasure, remarks how amazing it is that the game can even replicate the sense of taste, a truly immersive experience. Wan Jia, watching the others, observes that all the fat from the roasted animal went to all the right places, a thoughtful observation during the meal. He then asks politely if someone can share some food with him, showing his own hunger. The leader explains they only managed to catch 3 rabbits, but it's all right, he has other food items to share. Our hero thanks Brother Wan for the food, his expression bright and appreciative. The leader hands him a can, telling him not to be stingy and to eat it all. Wan Jia, holding a rifle and the proffered can, looks confused, realizing it's just canned food after all that buildup. The leader insists it's nutritious and demands he finishes every last bit, a mischievous glint in his eye. Our protagonist is shown covering his mouth, sweat beading on his forehead as he tries to stomach the mysterious canned food. He screams in agony, tears streaming down his face as he discovers the extreme spiciness of the leader's joke. Yet how could Fan Zhaihong possibly anticipate the cold reception waiting just beyond the laughter? Fan Zhaihong stands tall, ready for anything, and asks if they can talk, the soldier nodding, gun still in hand. Suddenly, his expression snaps to surprise as an exclamation mark appears above him. He's caught completely off guard, his thoughts reeling from the unexpected shift. His face, now slick with sweat, leans forward as he asks, his voice laced with nervous curiosity, what could possibly be so important now? Wan Jia points directly at the M4 rifle, making it clear what he wants, and simply demands the weapon with unsettling confidence. Fan Zhaihong clutches the firearm tighter, his grip white-knuckled, explaining that it's his only gun and trying to hold his ground. The cunning player holds his intense stare, then shrugs, saying it's fine if the other man doesn't want to give it up, the implication anything but reassuring. Still gripping his gun, he nods slowly, acknowledging the refusal, but a deeper understanding starts to settle in. The 2 men stand frozen, a small campfire flickering between them, the silence stretched taut, a standoff of wills. Fan Zhaihong slowly raises his M4, aiming it directly at the other player's back, a deliberate movement heavy with the weight of a decision. His finger settles on the trigger, a slight tremor in his hand as he holds it there, the moment hanging before an irrevocable action. A brown-haired girl, sitting casually on a log with her own weapon beside her, observes him intently and shakes her head, murmuring about this kid. Her gloved hand presses down on a weapon mechanism, a subtle but precise movement, as if preparing for what's to come. The brown-haired girl leans towards the gray-haired man beside her, calmly explaining that Fan Zhaihong is just being tested, rationalizing his hesitation. The gray-haired man, his brow furrowed with concern, manages a worried, but still sensing true danger lurking beneath the surface. In the bright forest daylight, Fan Zhaihong's face transforms into a knowing smile, a realization dawning on him as he lets out a soft ho. He extends the M4 rifle with both hands, offering it to the other player as a gesture of profound respect and submission. Wan Jia's lips curl into a smirk as he takes possession of the weapon, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction, knowing what this exchange cost the other man. He immediately aims the newly acquired firearm as Fan Zhaihong bows low, mumbling a heartfelt, "Thank you very much," an act of complete surrender. Suddenly, Fan Zhaihong's face twists into horror as he reaches out, a desperate cry escaping his lips, understanding the true cost of his gesture too late. A deafening muzzle flash erupts, followed by the sharp crack of a gunshot, the sound echoing through the quiet forest, marking a brutal end. The silhouette of the shooter is framed by an orange muzzle flash, still firing, each shot precise and delivered with ruthless efficiency. Fan Zhaihong recoils violently from the impact, a wave of pain rippling through him as he takes the bullet wound, his body convulsing against the tree. Fan Zhaihong barely has a moment to breathe before the true nightmare begins to unfold. The world is ending and the warrior grips his sword, ready for battle. He steps forward, slicing through the air, but an orange-haired woman wonders aloud why there are zombies here. Real dignified stuff. Wan Jia stands his ground, gripping his weapon tightly as he observes the sudden chaos, his mind already racing through possibilities. He notes to himself that things are getting complicated. From behind, we see him assessing the approaching silhouettes, his eyes scanning for weaknesses and potential escape routes as the dark figures shamble closer, their guttural moans filling the air. Meanwhile, the game system coldly updates, displaying remaining players, 243, above a small, forgotten campfire in an open grassland, a chilling reminder of how quickly numbers dwindle. Suddenly, a flurry of bare feet scrambles across the grass, pushing past each other in a desperate dash as someone urgently shouts to get into the car, their voice laced with panic. Inside the vehicle, he looks around, a flicker of confusion crossing his face as he mutters, "Why is this happening?" The rapid turn of events is even throwing him off. A light-haired male passenger yells at the driver to go faster, his eyes wide with terror as he sees the horde gaining on them. His desperate plea cuts through the growing din of undead shrieks. Zombies are now clawing at the rear of the car, their grotesque faces pressed against the windows as they lunge for any available purchase. The vehicle rocks precariously with each impact. Wei Hu, a skilled fighter, leans out the window, his sword glinting in the dim light. He curses at the pursuing undead, telling them to FXXK off with a furious snarl. With a powerful, sweeping slash, Wei Hu cleaves through multiple zombies clinging to the back of the car, his blunt weapon tearing through their decaying flesh, and the car briefly lurches as the bodies fall away. A heavy boot slams down on the accelerator, pinning it to the floor. A voice shouts for everyone to hold on as the engine roars to life with renewed fury. The blue car's rear wheels spin wildly, kicking up dirt and debris as it surges forward, leaving the grasping hands of the undead behind in a cloud of dust. The vehicle speeds away from the camera, disappearing into the dense foliage, the immediate threat seemingly receding with each passing second as the forest swallows them whole. From an overhead view, the car careens along a winding dirt path, a tiny blue speck in a vast green expanse. It seems they've managed to put some distance between themselves and the pursuing horde. One of the passengers breathes a sigh of relief, commenting that they managed to get out of immediate danger, and the tension in the car briefly lessens, replaced by a fragile sense of relief. But our guy quickly corrects them, a grim look on his face, stating that the real danger has only just begun. His words shock the others, their brief comfort dissolving into renewed apprehension about what lies ahead. The silence hangs heavy in the air as Wan Jia prepares for the shift to come. Wan Jia stares ahead, a flicker of shock in his eyes as he processes this new objective, wondering if this truly is the butterfly effect in action, changing everything he knew about the game. A beautiful blue butterfly flutters its wings, small and innocent, yet perhaps holding the power to reshape destiny with every beat. The consequences of those small movements manifest violently, as a colossal tornado rips through a city, leaving buildings shattered in its wake. Driving along a dusty desert road, Wan Jia explains that his past deeds have twisted the very fabric of the game's conditions, and now nothing is as it once was. The female sniper, a rifle held casually in her hands, turns to him, her expression serious, wanting to know what this new objective means and what they should do. He suggests they head for a stronghold just a few kilometers away, believing it's their best shot at a place to regroup. The silver-haired brawler, a worried look on his face, argues that going there is suicide since too many zombies are blocking their path. Suddenly, a zombie turns its decaying head, its jaw hanging open in a silent, guttural gasp as it senses something approaching. Moments later, the same zombie is sent flying through the air, propelled by an unseen force, its body tumbling against the clear sky. The entire team is now engaged in a chaotic assault, spread across the tiny blue car, fighting off a relentless horde of the undead. Not exactly a quiet drive. The brawler battles furiously, his weapon a blur against the onslaught, but he warns everyone that they can't possibly hold out for much longer. The female sniper, trapped in the close quarters, laments that her specialized rifle is useless in such a tight spot, meaning her skills are wasted here. She tightly grips a bullet pendant hanging from her neck, a small comfort in the face of overwhelming odds. But that fragile moment of silence is shattered as Wei Hu suddenly springs into motion. A figure tumbles violently through the air, caught mid-impact, as Wei Hu leans forward, his eyes sharp, asking if the other's okay. Suddenly, a close-up shows Wan Jia leaning forward over the car, a gun barrel clutched in his hand, as he grimaces and mutters that he's been too soft on these fools. Behind them, a massive zombie horde churns, a relentless wave of death chasing their vehicle across the barren landscape. Our guy's foot slams down on the accelerator with a decisive step, pushing the pedal to the floor to gain every possible ounce of speed. The tiny blue car tears across the desert in a cloud of dust, its engine screaming with a vroom as it tries to outrun the hungry horde. A fortified castle appears in the distance, a beacon of hope against the desolate backdrop. But a screen reminds everyone that only 119 players remain. Through binoculars, the view reveals masses of people gathered inside the castle, as a voice expresses disbelief at the slim odds of surviving for 24 hours. Suddenly, someone spots their approaching vehicle, a tiny speck against the vast desert, causing a ripple of alarm among the guarded survivors. Zheng Po, a guard at the fortified castle, stands with two others, all brandishing weapons, their boxes acting as makeshift barricades, watching the approaching car intently. The tiny blue car screeches to a dramatic halt, kicking up a huge cloud of dust and debris just outside the castle walls. With a loud KOU sound, one of the car's door panels suddenly flies off, a testament to the brutal journey they've just endured. A close-up shows the car's wheels smoking, a visible sign of the strain and damage it has taken, barely holding together. Wan Jia looks around, his red eyes wide with dawning recognition, realizing they've reached the final safe zone. All four protagonists are now clearly visible in the open-top car, having arrived at the castle, with the white-haired muscle man relaxing casually. Three armed men aim their weapons over makeshift cover, yelling fiercely, "Don't come closer." Our guy steps out of the car, calmly advising them to save their ammo for the zombies closing in from behind. Zheng Po, looking thoroughly confused, asks what he means, clearly not grasping the gravity of the situation unfolding around them. Our protagonist gestures confidently, explaining that if they want to defend against the coming zombie horde, they better let them in. Zheng Po, still defiant, challenges the demand, asking why he should listen, completely unaware of the strategic advantage he's being offered. Stubbornness personified, his face twists in a sudden mix of surprise and possibly fear as a strange vertical energy line appears beside him. Wei Hu, the confident, blonde leader, stands ready in an action pose with his assault rifle, a knowing smile playing on his lips. Our reborn surgeon starts to explain their crucial role, stumbling slightly over his words, before Wei Hu cheerfully interjects with a confident, "Cool," while the team poses behind him, a united front ready for the coming fight. Yet while Wei Hu celebrates their newfound camaraderie, Zheng Po lingers in the shadows, burdened by trauma. Zheng Po, the squad leader, lifts his cap, revealing a jagged bullet hole, a stark reminder of how close he came to meeting his end. He puts the damaged cap back on, a small smile gracing his lips, and gestures for everyone to come inside the fortified castle, extending a welcome despite their earlier clash. One of Zheng Po's men looks genuinely shocked by the idea of sharing all their hard-won supplies, struggling to accept such generosity. The white-haired ally argues fiercely that they should keep some equipment for themselves, just in case things go sideways, showing his pragmatic caution. But our guy gestures emphatically, making it clear to everyone that they're all in the same boat now, with no one left to save if they don't work together. He then hands a rifle specifically to Zhang Po, the weapon a symbol of their fragile new alliance, explaining that this isn't charity but necessary cooperation for survival. Zhang Po looks at the rifle and then at him, a clear conflict in his eyes before he slowly reaches out and takes the weapon, finally making his choice. Their hands briefly touch as the rifle passes between them, and the squad leader nods, confirming that he understands the gravity of the situation. He touches his cap and confidently reports that his squad is fully equipped and ready for whatever comes next. Wan Jia then looks up at his team, eyes sharp, asking for their next move, eager to define their objective. He stands with his arms crossed, a slight smirk playing on his lips as he takes in the sudden surge of energy and determination from the group. Rain or debris falls around them as the entire group chants "win" repeatedly, their voices echoing through the space, a unified cry for victory. Real dignified stuff. Soon after, a glowing projectile screams across the outdoor battlefield, leaving a bright trail in the clear sky. The projectile strikes a zombie directly in the forehead, instantly eliminating it and displaying the points gained for the kill. He takes aim with his crossbow-like weapon from behind a low cover, scanning the horizon for the next threat, always strategizing. Perched on a high ledge, our guy quietly notes that the points earned from standard zombies are surprisingly low, already calculating his next move. Then the white-haired ally appears from behind a wall, asking if the boss was looking for him, his presence a calm counterpoint to the battlefield. The white-haired ally smiles sincerely, his hand over his chest, clearly impressed by the strategy, but refutes any suggestion of self-interest, asserting his genuine desire to fight alongside everyone until the very end. But can this newfound camaraderie truly withstand the heavy responsibility that now falls upon Wan Jia? The leader eyes Wan Jia, saying he's good at adapting, which makes him perfect for this job. Real dignified stuff. He then explains why a reconnaissance mission is necessary, highlighting the risks of sending Wei Hu or Lin Zun, and emphasizing that our guy has the combat skills to gather intel effectively. Wan Jia clenches his fist, deep in thought, as the leader's words press down, his difficult decision clearly visible in his expression. The leader continues, reassuring him that those who join scouting missions have the highest survival rate, avoiding direct confrontations and ensuring a better chance of return. The survivor finally agrees to take on the dangerous mission, but not without a silent demand that the leader keeps his word about the rewards. He turns and walks away from the conversation, heading toward a stone archway, his footsteps echoing a sense of determination as he leaves the settlement behind. As he continues down the dusty path, the distance growing between him and the settlement, the implications of his decision weigh heavily. The leader calls out to him, a solemn warning about the paramount importance of returning alive, his voice a stark reminder of the mission's peril. Our hero, the determined survivor, runs away quickly, leaving a cloud of dust behind him as he speeds towards the unknown. Meanwhile, the aggressive blonde leader glares from a doorway, confronting the decision to send the protagonist to what he believes is his demise. The blonde leader watches as the soldier turns away and kicks up dust, asking if he's the wrong kind of person for this world. Wei Hu stares hard at the floor, knowing that letting Fan Jiahong stay is risky. There's simply no room for error now. The primary leader explains that keeping the survivor back would introduce an unstable variable, emphasizing that errors cannot be tolerated. Later, the survivor lies hidden on a log in a dark, dense forest, gripping a gun tightly, and silently vows to find the man who put him in this dangerous spot. He smirks to himself, formulating a plan to just hide in a tree for a couple of hours, confident that the zombies, no matter how tough, wouldn't be able to climb it. A sudden rustling sound breaks the silence of the forest, causing him to instantly tense and focus on the undergrowth. He peers through the dense leaves of the forest canopy, a confused expression crossing his face as he tries to identify the source of the noise. Another rustle echoes through the bushes, prompting him to voice his confusion aloud, wondering what exactly is making that sound. Whatever creature lurks in the shadows, will it reach Wan Jia before the ground does? Wan Jia's hand slips on the mossy bark, his grip failing as he struggles to maintain his precarious perch, and he thinks back to how he ended up in this deadly position, once again caught between the living and the undead. He falls through the air, the ground rushing up fast, and a bitter memory of a past tournament defeat flashes through his mind. A heavy boot with a gleaming spur stomps onto the forest floor, landing with a deliberate crunch near where he's about to land. Our guy looks up from the ground, his eyes wide in disbelief as he stammers out the word, "Impossible," realizing he's been caught right where he thought he was safe. The blonde leader, surrounded by his menacing subordinates, stares down at the fallen hero, their faces twisted with an accusation that he is a traitor. A pleasant reunion. Meanwhile, back at the fortress command room, a digital display shows only 74 players remaining, with the clock ticking down on their time limit. Brother Tiger holds a sheet of paper, announcing to the group that the latest count of people within their fortress, including new arrivals, totals 72. Wei Hu, an ally who values efficiency, smiles thinly and confirms they'll proceed with their strategic plan, based on the current count of 72 people. Suddenly, a voice from just off-screen corrects him, stating firmly that the number is actually 73. In the distance, down the long stone hall of the fortress, the one who corrects the count, Wan Jia, appears alongside Brother Tiger. Our hero, bruised but not broken, steps forward into the light and announces that his mission is complete, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. The camera focuses on their legs as the two men meet, highlighting the quiet determination in his stance after his perilous return. Brother Tiger claps him on the shoulder, praising his toughness, as Wei Hu looks over from the table and asks if he'll still keep the promise he made before leaving. Yet beneath this relief, will Lin Zun truly face the coming threat with such reckless confidence? Lin Zun, a deadly sniper, boasts the horde is easy and she could kill them all with her eyes closed, showing no fear of the coming battle as Zhang Po, her longtime supporter, stands by her side, a worried look on his face, but he knows her skill. Suddenly, a man in camouflage emerges from the ruins, casually announcing he'd been looking for the sharpshooter. She turns, her expression neutral, taking in his unexpected appearance. Her companion, seeing the sudden interaction, quickly excuses himself, muttering that he'll go check his gear. Real smooth. The man in camo chuckles to himself, covering his mouth as if enjoying the awkward moment he created, clearly amused by his own antics. The sniper leans her chin on her hand, a thoughtful expression on her face, internally noting that the new arrival acts a bit strangely. Our camo-clad guy then boldly suggests that Zhang Po was just flirting with her, a playful accusation hanging in the air. Lin Zun's eyes widen in genuine shock and disbelief at the thought of someone actually flirting with her. Clearly, romance isn't her strong suit. He then compliments her, saying she's pretty and has great skills, suggesting she should be more open to romance. And she stands there, hands on her hips, looking quite flustered by the unexpected attention. Looking down, a slight blush on her face, she confesses that if she were to find a boyfriend, she'd want a guy who's good at games. Just then, a hand reaches out, making contact with the sniper's shoulder, a sudden gesture that makes her flinch slightly. He's certainly bold. The man in camo, his hand still on her shoulder, assures her he'll stop teasing and shifts the conversation to official business. She looks up, her confusion evident as she questions the sudden change in topic and his serious tone. Later, high on a fortress wall overlooking the sea under a night sky, a UI displays the remaining players and time ticking down to 72 hours and 15 minutes, as two figures stand watch, scanning the dark horizon. The man in camouflage holds a glowing blue map, analyzing the data as the scout next to him asks if the zombie horde will really attack at this time, building the tension with the impending threat. The scout, focusing intently, brings the binoculars to her eyes, sweeping across the dark, vast expanse of the horizon, searching for any sign of the approaching danger. She catches the movement just before the silence shatters into an overwhelming wave of hostile shadows. Panic starts to rise as defenders shout about too many enemies, but Wan Jia's voice cuts through, demanding everyone listen up and get it together. He turns, a determined smile on his face, promising he'll always be in front, covering their backs no matter what. The defenders stare, a mix of awe and shock on their faces, sweat beading as his words hit home, inspiring them to fight. Then he covers his face, clearly embarrassed by the heavy, emotional speech, a slight blush creeping up his neck. Our guy mutters about not being good at all those flowery words, his voice shifting, ready for a different, more direct approach. Then his fist shoots up, a sudden burst of raw defiance as he screams a battle cry that cuts right to the point. "Fuck 'em, bitches." The red-haired man, along with everyone else, roars back, fists pumping, mirroring his fierce energy. A timer blinks into existence above the castle, ticking down the seconds before a massive explosion erupts, shaking the ground with a loud kaboom. On the battlements, soldiers grin widely as the ground below erupts, the mines they placed earlier doing their job beautifully. The leader shouts over the din, commanding them to keep firing, reminding them it's not over yet. More explosions rock the landscape, a symphony of destruction as the battle rages on, showing the power of their defenses. A line of soldiers stand firm, their weapons spitting fire into the darkness, muzzle flashes momentarily illuminating the night. The silver-haired gunner unleashes a torrent of bullets from his heavy weapon, a wild laugh escaping his lips as he mows down the approaching horde. Enemies fall and explode under the relentless hail of gunfire, illustrating the devastating effectiveness of their coordinated defense. Our protagonist turns to the silver-haired gunner, whose brow is beaded with sweat, and tells him not to worry, that the real fight is just beginning as a glowing blade appears in his hand. This glowing blade promises a brutal outcome for the silver-haired gunner and his hidden foes. He draws his bowstring taut, a taunting grin playing on his lips, assuring the unseen enemy that the main course is about to be served, a dark joke foreshadowing the fiery feast he plans for them. With a powerful release, the flaming arrow shoots forward, leaving a streaking trail as it hurtles toward its target, carrying his calculated fury. Turning to his ally Yon, he offers a reassuring smile and a dismissive gesture, telling Yon not to be so anxious, as if this chaotic battle is just another Tuesday. Our protagonist's hand snaps, a small, sharp sound, triggering something unseen, a subtle command that confirms his mastery over the unfolding events. Where the arrow landed, a violent pillar of fire erupts, tearing into the ground with explosive force and illuminating the dark landscape. The initial burst of flames rapidly spreads outward, forming a perfectly circular inferno, a defensive ring meant to incinerate anything that dares cross it. Within the blazing circle, zombies become dark, writhing silhouettes, consumed by the flames as the fire does its grim work, their forms distorted by the intense heat. Meanwhile, the white-haired ally watches the fiery spectacle, a strange sense of familiarity washing over him, as if he's witnessed this exact scene before, a recurring nightmare perhaps. Overlooking the battlefield, the protagonist grins, his confidence radiating as he boasts that fire is the ultimate tactic against these particular zombies, a simple solution to a massive problem. The camera pans to the sheer scale of the approaching zombie horde, a sea of shuffling dead, highlighting the immensity of the threat, with a ticking clock showing only 5 hours 40 minutes remaining. The screen is filled with the orange glow of the raging fire, a powerful visual testament to his trap, offering a fragile hope that it might just buy them the precious time they need. Just as things seem under control, a close-up on a leaf reveals a single, ominous water droplet, signaling an unexpected and unwelcome change in the weather. Water begins to drip steadily, and a hand reaches out, catching the cold rain, the sudden chill a stark contrast to the heat of the inferno. He stares up, his face etched with disbelief as the rain begins to fall harder, silently questioning if the game system is deliberately messing with him, a cruel twist of fate. His serious expression is now bathed in the dim light of the rain, watching as steam rises from the dying fires, each hiss a confirmation that his powerful fire barrier is failing. As the fire dies and the group panics around him, he stands centered, a sense of resignation settling over him, murmuring that man proposes, but God disposes, acknowledging a force beyond his control. Yet the silence is short-lived, as the attack on the wall begins moments later. The attack on the wall begins as a climber groans, clutching his side after getting hit hard. His buddy quickly checks if he's okay. From above, scalding liquid rains down, sending zombies screaming and falling from the wall in horrifying heaps, showing these monsters were once people. A gray-haired man, skilled with his sword, sends an opponent tumbling from the wall with swift, precise movements. Wan Jia strikes a powerful pose, yelling words of encouragement to his allies over the roar of the rain and the groans of the undead. The gray-haired swordsman exerts every ounce of his strength in combat, his muscles straining with each swing as he fights. But then a speech bubble appears, declaring a victory that was promised to them, contradicting the grim reality unfolding. The voice continues, revealing this victory, so fiercely fought for, will not belong to the heroes after all. A white-haired man grins menacingly as the truth of his betrayal begins to dawn on Wan Jia, leaving him in stunned shock. A wide shot shows the group, with the game timer ticking down to just over 3 hours remaining, as the white-haired man aims a gun at our leader. A chilling close-up reveals the gun pressed firmly against our leader's head, making his deadly intentions clear. The traitor shouts, explaining his desire to win without conflict, believing his actions are completely justified. Our leader responds calmly, observing that the traitor could have just stayed hidden and won, but instead chose this path. The white-haired man grins maniacally, detailing his bargain with the zombies, convinced he secured his survival. Wan Jia interrupts the traitor, remarking that he's spoken too much, sealing his own fate right there. With a sudden burst of power, he fires an energy blast at point-blank range, catching the white-haired man completely off guard. Elsewhere, on a hidden perch in the rain, a female sniper stands beside her rifle, looking satisfied with her mission complete. Blood pools on the wet stone as Wan Jia realizes the extent of the betrayal, acknowledging she had always been on guard against him. He then explains his cunning plan, revealing how he had placed a bug on the traitor, knowing his suspicious behavior would lead to this moment. The white-haired traitor coughs blood, his final warning gurgling out about a greater, impossible-to-defeat foe. Wan Jia listens intently, absorbing the traitor's dying words and recognizing the weight of this last warning. He then asks who this supposedly unbeatable foe could be, his expression serious and ready for whatever comes next. An imposing silhouette emerges, declaring himself as the one who cannot be beaten, his voice full of arrogance. With heavy impacts, the new boss, the bandana leader, arrives on the scene, his presence dominating the entire area. A close-up shows the bandana leader's smirking face, full of malicious confidence, ready for the impending confrontation. The bandana leader remains poised to unleash a nightmare that defies all reason. He grins wildly, explaining that the potion didn't just transform him, it gave him something far more insidious, something he clearly cherishes. Back on the fortress battlements, a brown-haired woman looks at Wei Hu with a mix of horror and confusion, asking if he also turned hideous like the creatures they're fighting. His grin stretches even wider as he corrects her, boasting that he didn't become ugly at all. Instead, he obtained true immortality. The woman throws her hands up in disbelief, shouting that it's impossible, that what he's done is simply cheating the natural order of things. Wan Jia, ever the tactical mind, gestures to his allies, urging them to go support the others while he stays behind to face this formidable foe alone. Wei Hu just chuckles, predicting with smug confidence that it's no use. No matter what they do, the fort will inevitably be completely overrun by his followers. He stands tall in the pouring rain, a confident and almost regal figure, unfazed by the elements or the danger, convinced of his victory. But our hero isn't one to back down. He shouts his defiance, declaring that he'll finish this fight and put an end to Wei Hu right here and now. With a grunt, our protagonist launches a powerful kick, his leg connecting with a dull, sickening thud against the seemingly impervious body of his foe. A spear is lodged deep in his chest, yet Wei Hu simply grins, completely unbothered, and taunts his attacker, revealing his resilience. An extreme close-up shows the hero's intense focus, his red eye burning with determination, as his hand grips the weapon tighter, preparing for another assault. Despite his fierce effort, the hero is then sent hurtling backward through the air, clearly outmatched by the zombie lord's power. Wei Hu ruthlessly strikes down at the surprised hero, catching him off guard with a brutal blow. A massive impact rattles the ground, leaving a sizable crater as the hero slams into it, clearly in pain. Wei Hu leans over his defeated opponent, a cruel smile on his face, asking if he regrets losing a battle that was almost won. Surrounded by a growing horde of zombies, our hero reflects on his predicament, acknowledging that he's faced similar feelings of despair before. The seemingly immortal zombie lord raises his weapon high, preparing to deliver the final, crushing blow to the defenseless hero. Suddenly, a close-up reveals our guy's fist igniting with intense flames, powering up for a desperate, game-changing attack. The fiery attack connects squarely, and Wei Hu, engulfed in searing heat, screams in utter disbelief, his immortality now fiercely questioned. A system message flashes, detailing a new achievement, Barbecue Master, along with a mysterious treasure chest, as our hero stands in a pillar of light, receiving his unexpected new title. Quite the career change. A chibi version of the hero grins excitedly, leaning on the treasure chest, while his serious self examines a glowing item with keen interest. He quickly realizes that his reward is a skill card, meant for learning new abilities, and a glowing red card with a flame symbol appears in his grasp. With newfound power, the hero holds out a flaming hand, his weapon instantly igniting, ready for a fiery assault. Wei Hu is consumed by the inferno, desperately questioning his supposed immortality as the flames rage around him. Our hero stands calmly over the burning figure, collecting the points awarded for the kill, having vanquished his seemingly invincible foe. He looks at the fiery silhouette of the defeated zombie lord, delivering a dry quip about another zombie king, falling to his newfound barbecue skills. Under the nighttime sky, His hand grips the now sizzling spear shaft, a serious expression on his face as he contemplates what comes next. He looks ahead, his profile determined, ready to face whatever new challenges the future holds. Even as the fortress battle rages on around him, the smoke of the fortress battle clears. Yet the chaos is only just beginning for him. Lin Zun yells as zombies swarm around him, but he just shoves them off, desperate to survive this endless fall. Real dignified stuff. Below him, a frenzied crowd scrambles up a steep ledge, their faces etched with terror as they try to escape the relentless attack. He watches the endless tide of enemies, muttering in despair that there are simply too many of them to fight off. The gun in Wan Jia's hand spits bullets in a frantic rhythm, as he curses the endless horde, knowing each shot is barely a dent. Near a crumbling brick wall, he grips his glowing weapon, a bitter thought crossing his mind. He's already killed the zombie leader, so why does it feel like winning is totally impossible? Wei Hu, the one with white hair, looks at him with a bleak smile, declaring that it looks like both of them are destined to lose this fight. In a tiled courtyard littered with fallen enemies, Wan Jia stands tall, a cunning glint in his eye as he mocks the remaining survivors for choosing to follow him, knowing it's a path straight to hell. He repeats the phrase, "chose to follow me," under his breath, a quiet contemplation of the desperate loyalty these people have shown. A sinister, confident grin spreads across his face as a plan solidifies. He knows exactly how to use this situation to his advantage now. The blonde leader, Wei Hu, stares at our guy, a bead of sweat tracing his temple, as he nervously questions the true intent behind his ally's sudden shift. Wan Jia raises a determined fist, announcing loudly that the real game of survival, the true test, is about to begin now. With a sudden, violent motion, a pink streak of energy pierces the muscled fighter's chest, throwing him back with brutal force. His wooden weapon clatters to the ground, spinning uselessly as the impact sends it flying from his grip. The resounding dang of the weapon hitting the floor echoes in the silent aftermath, a chilling punctuation to the sudden attack. Wan Jia holds a gleaming axe high above his head, its polished blade reflecting the light, as he menaces a bald man and several others with a dangerous intensity. The massive axe dominates the frame, its presence intimidating, as a voice from off-panel shouts that the boss has arrived, hinting at an even greater threat. The muscled player, now clearly visible, screams stop, his face contorted in fear and sweat, as the terrifying axe hovers directly over him. Out in the daylight, the muscled player laughs hysterically, a maniacal sound, as dark blood sizzles on his skin, a grim mark of his ordeal. Lin Zun steps forward, eyes narrowing, and shouts, "Let's go!" The gamer grabs his weapon, ready for action because this just got interesting. This gamble triggers a lethal chain reaction that leaves their survival hanging by a thread. Wan Jia, our brilliant strategist, steps away from the group, seemingly abandoning his allies as monsters close in. His comrades, including Capman and other worried faces, watch in disbelief, thinking he is sacrificing himself, and silver-haired man grips his arm, fearing the worst for his friend. He clenches his hands, declaring with fierce loyalty that the tactician would never make such a sacrifice. Ponytail Girl reassures the silver-haired man, placing a hand on his shoulder, insisting that their leader will certainly return alive, though he still looks pained by the thought. Suddenly, a massive orange fireball erupts on the horizon with a loud boom, lighting up the fleeing creatures below. The frame tightens on Wan Jia's face, a manic grin spreading across it, as he announces that his calculated plan has finally arrived. From the sky, bombs rain down onto the swarming monsters, creating fiery explosions and sending creatures flying. It's a real light show. The view widens to reveal smoking craters, confirming that a bombing zone had spawned at just the perfect time, just as he predicted. Ponytail Girl stares at a glowing blue map interface, wondering aloud if he had even factored this into his complex scheme. A desolate landscape filled with dead monsters is shown, with a timer displaying remaining time, 17 minutes, because the carnage is complete. On a rooftop platform at sunset, a group of 26 survivors rests, a status box confirming the remaining player count, and the tension is thick in the air. Ponytail Girl and silver-haired man stand side by side, their profiles etched against the golden sky as they scan the horizon for any sign of him. Standing alone in a fortress courtyard, the girl can't help but voice her growing anxiety, wondering why he still hasn't returned. Capman speaks gravely, pointing out that the 26 survivors match the remaining players, implying their leader might be gone. But the girl cuts off the cap-wearing man's worries mid-sentence, a defiant smile spreading across her face, since he wouldn't be easily taken down. A panoramic shot across reflecting water shows a tiny black dot appearing on the distant horizon, accompanied by the distinct sound of an engine. So someone is definitely coming. Ponytail girl turns her head, a flash of recognition in her eyes as she notices the approaching figure, and her faith is rewarded. But that moment of stillness vanishes as the attention shifts to the commotion brewing nearby. Wan Jia thrusts his staff into the ground with a solid thud, letting everyone know he's returned just as strong as he left. The silver-haired man shouts out, calling him a genius for his daring plan, while Zheng Po, with his red cap, agrees wholeheartedly that he's too cool for words. A crowd of people celebrates, throwing their fists in the air and chanting his name, giving our hero a well-deserved welcome after the chaos he just navigated. Suddenly, a ponytail girl grabs his shirt, pulling him close with surprising force. He probably expected a different kind of welcome. She kicks him hard as onlookers gasp, wondering what's happening, because apparently not everyone was thrilled with his solo mission. She screams at him, reminding him about teamwork and the danger he put himself in, her anger clearly driven by concern and a bit of fury. He just grins, promising with a cheeky smile that he won't do it again, a classic apology that probably isn't very convincing. A system message flashes, confirming the player's victory and awarding them points, so the mission, despite his recklessness, was a success. Wan Jia reflects on completing the first round, taking a quiet moment after all the action, already planning for what comes next. The ponytail girl stands next to him, a lingering tension between them, as she's not quite ready to let him off the hook. She leans in, asking if he's forgotten something important, her expression showing she knows he's holding back. Four figures stand silently, facing each other in the subdued light, suggesting the conversation is far from over. Elsewhere, hands grip the top of a stone wall, knuckles white with effort, as someone desperately tries to hang on. The pink-haired man grins manically, whispering to himself that he just needs to hold on a bit longer to win, barely clinging to victory. From behind, we see the fallen man looking up, startled, as his desperate struggle has been noticed. A close-up shows his head resting on the ground, defeated, as his attempt at glory has clearly failed. Our hero's boots appear, framing the head of the fallen man, meaning his fate is now in the hands of the victor. He asks if the man wants to join them in celebrating their victory, a chilling question full of dark irony. His boots remain planted near the man's head, unmoving, and the silence stretches, heavy with unspoken threats. The pink-haired man cries out, calling for him, a desperate plea hanging in the air. He cries, praising him as a great and merciful person while demeaning himself. It's a performance of pure desperation. The man tries to explain his betrayal, claiming he was helpless and begging for another chance, hoping to appeal to any shred of mercy. The man remains on the ground, his pleas echoing, but his fate seems sealed, no matter his words. Our hero rests his chin in his hand, a look of mild annoyance on his face, clearly having heard this kind of talk before. He smiles warmly, looking straight ahead, announcing he even wants to forgive the man, which sounds like a generous offer, perhaps too good to be true. The pink-haired man's eyes widen, filled with sudden hope, as he quietly asks if it's true, barely able to believe his luck. A starburst impact appears on the man's forehead, meaning hope quickly turns to a shocking end. The sound of a strike echoes, a brutal end to the man's desperate plea, as justice or revenge has been served. The man slides down the wall, a pained expression on his face as his life slips away, his desperate gamble having failed spectacularly. But this brief moment of silence is shattered as the real game begins to unfold. Discussions begin in a cozy room as one guy leans over, claiming this player covers the entire screen, making it impossible to see. His friend scoffs, thinking he must be cheating because no one could possibly be that good, especially with such a massive lead. The camera quickly cuts to a shot of someone spitting out their drink in utter disbelief at the ongoing conversation. Wan Jia, however, sits relaxed, his hair tied back, completely unaware of the commotion surrounding his performance. Meanwhile, Wei Hu, a blonde-haired woman with bright blue eyes, watches the outdoor world pass by, deep in thought. Back at the table, the silver-haired man asks what in the world is going on with this Jia everyone is talking about, while Wei Hu teases him about gaining so many fans. He looks annoyed, stating they need to stop making fun of him because people online are already accusing him of cheating, and his identity would be doxed if not for his friends. Wei Hu, still holding her phone, admits she also suspected him of cheating, especially since he seemed to know the exact spawn time and location for all the rare zones. A digital leaderboard flashes on screen, showing Wan Jia at rank 1 with a staggering 7770 points, far surpassing the second-place player. The silver-haired man leans forward, demanding to know how he got so much information about the first round of the game. Wan Jia adjusts his glasses, unable to tell them anything concrete, but promises his loyalty, hoping they can keep running until the very end. Wei Hu then asks if there's a chance they won't be on the same server in the next round, meaning they couldn't group up. His hands smooth over his clothes as he agrees, admitting that even with 99% of players cleared, the remaining number is still astonishing. On a phone screen showing a map, the current player count displays as 478,692, and he explains that the closer they get to the end, the smaller the number will be. Wei Hu quietly processes his words, her profile illuminated as she absorbs the gravity of the situation. Under a bright umbrella, a thought bubble sighs, indicating Wei Hu's deep worries about what's next. She reclines in a lounge chair, confessing she doesn't have the confidence to pass the following rounds. Not everyone is as strong as a monster like him. A tight close-up shows the silver-haired man's shocked face, his eyes wide as he stammers. "You mean?" Wan Jia leans in with a confident, almost sinister smile, asking if they truly thought he came all this way just to drink coffee and have a little chat. Wei Hu's eyes widen, and she whispers, clearly surprised, "Don't tell me." He sits, holding a cup, and defines cheating as manipulating game data to become stronger, but claims the game's security makes that almost impossible. He raises a finger, then, with a glint in his eye, announces he is about to give them something even better, a cheat outside of cheating. But how could a player possibly handle the weight of such an impossible power? The timer ticks down to the 5-minute warning for the next round of the Endless Tower, and Dans, the eccentric host, holds a glowing orb close, whispering about the legend. A cool blue light reflects off the visor of Wan Jia, our guy, as a small, confident smile plays on his lips. He knows what's coming. He floats gracefully among other players in the luminous digital space, already anticipating the challenges ahead, ready to face what no one else can even imagine yet. An ominous Gothic tower then pierces the stormy sky, its dark spires silhouetted against flashes of lightning. This is the infamous Endless Tower, a place of legend and terror. The pink-haired player, still confused by the sudden turn of events, questions the objective as others chime in about the cards they've heard whispers of, and the insane goal of reaching the 100th floor. A dramatic spotlight shines down on a hand clutching a microphone, signaling the start of the next phase as the host prepares his grand entrance. Dans, the flamboyant host, strikes an over-the-top pose, introducing himself with a flourish, and the crowd groans at the familiar sight of him. Our protagonist sighs, a tiny chibi version of himself appearing above his head, lamenting that even the host hasn't changed. Some things, it seems, are truly inescapable. A group of angry players shouts their complaints, demanding a new host. One muscular player yells that Dans is blinding his eyes, while another asks why a gorilla can even be a host. The host explodes in fury, veins bulging in his neck, screaming that he is not a gorilla. His theatrical outrage is a sight to behold, really. He quickly regains composure, offering a forced, strained smile as he prepares to explain the rules. The show must go on after all. Dans gestures dramatically, explaining that players are now inside a tower filled with traps and monsters, and victory goes to whoever can climb to the very top, floor by floor. The host then strikes another confident pose, demonstrating his flair for the dramatic, proving he really loves the spotlight. A hand holds up 3 glowing cards, red for attack, gold for item, and blue for effect. These are the rewards players earn as they face harder floors. The screen then highlights a red attack card with the KG emblem, noting these are crucial for survival in the tower. A split view shows a shining item card in gold and a vibrant effect card in blue, each one offering different advantages. A female player, assertive and direct, points out to a listening male player that many don't have weapons or equipment, making the first floor unwinnable if they start empty-handed. A sea of player silhouettes shouts demands for equipment, some even asking for their old weapons back. The chaotic scene shows just how unprepared they feel. Dans, floating above the crowd, quickly pivots to a sales pitch, declaring that players can spend their points on genuine good products like cards, all at the cheapest price. A pay-to-win system, naturally, but what did they expect? And that's where Chapter 50 leaves us. With the rules laid bare and the tower looming, Wan Jia knows this competition won't just test their skills, but their wallets too.